What's going on is Anton from AntonDaniels.com. I appreciate you guys for continuing to rock with me, but I just got home off of an early morning flight, right? First thing through the door, I want to see my family. I love my family. You know, I'm a family man. I'm an advocate for families, right? Second thing, I got to get that hot shower because I got to throw the threads on. The threads make me feel like $1,000,000, but the third thing through my mind and all throughout the trip is that I gotta have that Teige pack. Teige makes my life uncomplicated. It's uncomplicated skincare for men. The first way that I started specifically was their level 1 system. It's a daily face wash to get rid of the dirt and grime on your skin. 2 times per week exfoliating scrub to get rid of the dead skin cells. An AM moisturizer with SPF 20 because you should always be protecting your skin from the sun. And a PM moisturizer to help your skin stay hydrated and healthy throughout the night. Here's the thing. My favorite part about Teige Hanley is that every box comes with an instruction card that tells you when to use each product, how much to use, and in what order. They really making the process of achieving and maintaining amazing skin for men uncomplicated. In addition to amazing skin, members of Teige Hanley get tons of benefits, including at least 20% off the retail price, the ability to customize your box, exclusive monthly deals, you can pause and cancel at any time, and you get free shipping. And because Teige Hanley is sponsoring today's video, they're offering my viewers an amazing deal, right? Just click the first link in the description and you get 30% off your first box, plus a free gift. It's an amazing deal. You got to get started today. You're not out here trying to look like a dusty. And if you travel as much as I do, which I'm sure most people don't, but you know me, I'm pushing my bag chasers in order to be in the top 5%, top 10%, top 1%. We got to make our lives uncomplicated, and Teige Hanley is no better product. You got to look good. You got to smell good. And you can't be looking like a dusty. Make sure you get started today. Click the link in the description. Get that Teige pack. Feel the Teige, my friends. What's going on is Anton from AntonDaniels.com. I appreciate you guys for continuing to rock with me. Thank you for tuning in for another edition of the Millionaire Morning Show. I am your host, Anton Daniels. I am happy and excited to be before you today on Monday, October 9th, 2023, year of our Lord. For some of us, it is a banking holiday. For others, it's back to the regular grind. What's going on, friends and family? Let me get a mental health check. How y'all been doing? How y'all feel this morning? Y'all get some rest? You went to bed early a little bit? I know us up here in the Midwest, the weather is changing. It's that fall weather. I'm not necessarily complaining. I like spring, summer, fall. It's those winter days that get us a little bit thrown off. Give me one word inside of the chat of how you guys feel. Let me get a mental health check. I am curious as to what the people are feeling today. What up? One word in the chat, mental health check. Let me see what y'all talking about. Blessed and highly favored, hustling. All right. Yep, it's getting colder. Optimistic, great, focused, accomplished. I love that. Rejuvenated. What up, Natasha? No rest, been grinding all night. Blessed, flamboyant, fabulous, steadfast, grateful, replenished, amazing, rested, blessed, resting, motivated. Good morning, peeps. Working, sick, accomplished, making progress. I like that. Fine, blessed, grinding, inspired, godly, drained, blessed, gangster, serious, awesome, ready, successful, motivated, alive, ghetto, fabulous, evicted, feeling destructive, refreshed, winning, prospering, glad to be alive, motivated, hopeful, balanced, thankful, productive, curious. What you curious about, Marcella? Dedicated, tired, pushing forward. Rita says she overworked. Not underpaid, though. Exhausted, broke, winning and alive. What's up? Resilient, feeling alive, strong and motivated. Y'all like that Friday tax talk, huh? Y'all was feeling that tax talk. I put off the Patreon live stream until this Thursday. So I'm going to do it on Thursday this week. Because I wanted to make sure that I had everything set up the way that it needed to be set up in order for y'all to really get the insight and information. So Pushed it off till Thursday. Today I am dropping a video inside of not a video. I'm dropping an update inside of the Patreon, and then Thursday we're gonna do the live stream, and we're gonna deep dive even more into the tax talk. Look at Q being crazy. Make sure y'all tune into the Q. Let's get the housekeeping out of the way. First and foremost, make sure you subscribe to the channel, turn on your notifications, and then also share this with a family and friend. All right. Second, Q is so crazy. Second thing I want you guys to do is make sure that you tap into that Teige Hanley, the sponsor of the show. 30% off your first order plus a free gift. We like Teige Hanley. We use Teige Hanley. For everybody that is using that Teige pack, make sure that you tap into it and then make sure that you continue to level up. That's the second thing. Third thing, obviously you guys are familiar with the Patreon. Obviously, you know that we have the best Patreon on the face of the earth. They need to do a Patreon award because I'm over there killing Patreon. We got a whole movement. That movement is also going to take over DC on November 4th. I'm updating that today. We're doing a live stream on Thursday because I want to make sure that I reserve my weekends for chilling, family, rejuvenating so we can cook up during the week. I did buy well, I'll get into that in a minute. On top of that, we have the Anton Investing in You. I don't really know what I'm going to call it yet, but it's like a Shark Tank style pitch that we're doing at the end of November for me to be able to give as many people as possible. I have a budget. I finally got my budget together. I should just drop that in the Patreon too, shouldn't I? Anyways, I have a budget for you guys to be able to tap in for that. So I'm going to try to fund or give you that leg up for you to vet out whether or not it's going to be ideal for you to actually go into business, create your own business. I want to give you seed money to do so with no equity or nothing in return. It's just my gift to you. And I'm going to be funding my bag chasers businesses. So make sure that you tap into the Patreon. That link is in the description as well as pinned to the top of the chat. What else? We got the Q show. Hey, Q, what up? We got Q's show tonight. That's going to be popping. I'm going to be on the panel. We're going to have a conversation, probably talk a little bit about all the things relationships related. So make sure that you tap into that. What is going on with the exhaust system, with the air? Anyways, I don't have to deal with that. But yeah, we got the show tonight, so that's going to be on the Anton Daniels channel. That's 10 p.m. Eastern, 9 p.m. Central, 7 p.m. Pacific, and we're going to rock out on that, all right? So make sure y'all tuned into that, and then we're going to go ahead and get started with the show. So again, if you have not hit a like for the algorithm, subscribe to the channel, turn on your notifications, and we're going to get it rocking. Let me turn off this air real quick. Give me a second. Yes, Q. It is seed money. So what we're going to be doing at the end of November is I'm basically going to be giving people seed money to be able to start their business if the business makes sense, because I'm allowing people to be able to pitch me. It's probably going to be a 2-day event because last time it went 2 days. So make sure that y'all jump into that and let's get it popping. All right, so let's go ahead and get into the show because I got a lot that I want to cover. I definitely want to get to the money aspect of things. But before we get into the money aspect of things, let me make sure that I give y'all, let me acknowledge the Cash Apper. Shout out to Mike, that dude. Hold on, let me get the Cash Apps up. Get the Cash Apps up because I do want to make sure that I'm acknowledge the people that's taking care of Tom Dog and paying they dudes. Mike, that dude, let me give you a shout out for that. Ryan Farrell is in the building. He said the best for being the best C student. Drop that 50 ball. Ryan Farrell dropped the 50 ball. Jesus Christ. Mike, that dude, drop a 10 every day. Let me give him a round of applause too. Let me also give a shout out to Heed. Mr. DJ is in the building. Next Level. And another one from Lemare Flanagan. Shout out to Lemare Flanagan. Dropped a 40 ball on the boy. You know what I'm saying? So shout out to y'all. I appreciate y'all. Absolutely awesome. Let's get into the show. I will be reading super chats throughout the show. I got to make sure that I take care of the people. Shout out to Pat Fobbs. Let me give a shout out to Pat Fobbs real quick. Let me get him up on the panel. Pat Fobbs says, I have a loan on my work van. I'm getting almost $10K in November. and I'm getting almost $10,000 in November. I don't know what 10,000 is. Oh, you're getting a $10,000 payment. Okay, I got you. I want to put most of it to the loan, but the servicer says I can't pay the principal. What should I do? What? What kind of loan is this? You don't have it through the actual finance company? Who is the servicer of the loan? Send me an email. Or if you're on the Patreon, send me a message on Patreon. You should be able to pay it off completely. Why wouldn't they allow for you to actually be able to pay off the van? You should always be able to pay off the van. I don't understand that. I want to put most of it to my loan, but the servicer said I can't pay the principal. Why wouldn't you be able to pay off the principal? I've never heard of a car loan like that to where you can't pay off your stuff. Are they basically saying you can't pay it off early? Send me an email. I need to know more about the situation so we can actually tackle. I'll help you. I'll even call a servicer with you and we'll have a conversation with them. You should be able to pay off your van, but make sure that you go ahead and tap in and we're going to have that conversation, all right? Shout out to Pat Fobbs. I appreciate you. Wow. I ain't never heard of that before, that you couldn't pay off your car early. Connie said you would have a prepayment penalty. I wonder how much. That's why I'm saying we need to learn more about that particular type of loan so we can deal with it accordingly. All right. Let's go ahead and get into the show. So the first thing that I want to do before we get into the money, I want to talk about real estate. I want to talk about cars. I want to talk about a lot of different stuff, right? First thing that I want to talk about is predators. Predators. I glean a lot of my insight as to what it is that I'm going to talk about on a daily basis based off of what I see out here in the streets. In the streets, on YouTube, everywhere. And it's getting bad. Last week I did a show where in the beginning I didn't know what I was going to say, but I definitely had some stuff to say, and I tried to kind of give my ladies a scared straight talk. It's already difficult enough for us men out here. I can't figure out for the life of me why women want to be independent. I don't understand that. Even as a young guy, when I was making a lot of money and I was making over $100,000 a year in the early 2000s, I stayed with my parents as long as I possibly could because I had no reason to have to move out. I didn't understand what the pressure was from society to continue to push us out there for the people. And so when you think about that, and we have conversations all the time, and I see it all the time where people say stuff like, you know, don't push your kids out too early. Don't force them to go and get a job early. And, it doesn't really matter what part of that argument or what side of the argument that you're on. What I don't understand is, because I always related back to other things in my life or other things that I see happening in society that allow for me to make a more informed decision, right? Because I think that everything is interconnected, and if you can do something successful in one thing, then you should be able to translate that and do it successfully in another. For example, if you are great at your job, at whatever it is that you do for a living, let's say that you're a project manager, let's say that you are a UX UI, practitioner, if you are a software engineer, etc., then why wouldn't you also take those same skill sets and apply them into your regular life? That's what I do. I never went into trying to be a software engineer because I actually cared about software engineering. I leveraged it in order to try to build better e-commerce platforms that allowed for me to get a bigger bag. The software engineering was really just the residual that came along with trying to get a bigger bag, and so I needed more tools in order to do so, right? And so I then got a skill set that allowed for me to be able to fall back on for the rest of my life, right? But my point is that UX, UI, software engineering, that thing I took and I implemented it more into my regular life than I did into what I did for a living for the person that I worked for the company that I worked for, the organization that I worked for. And it's the same thing when it comes to every aspect of my life. Why wouldn't I relate it? Why wouldn't I use my expertise and leverage it for this over here. Let me break it down for you from another perspective, something that's a little bit more relatable to you. Why do we take advice? And I'm going to come back to this predator conversation. Why do we take advice from people that are not successfully married? One of the biggest criticisms that I get from a relationship perspective is, well, Anton, you've been married for 20 years since you was 22 years old. Why should we take relationship advice from you? Well, who the hell are you going to take relationship advice from if you can't take it from me? If I'm teaching you how to be successfully married because you don't see it anymore in society, and grandmama and grandpappy wasn't even happy when they was married, and all of my family behind me is doing the same thing successfully, including all three of my brothers, never been divorced, all of my uncles. Mom was married until my father's untimely demise, and then she got married about 2.5, 3 years later. Who else would you take relationship advice from? That's why I then can't understand how you take business advice from people that have never built a business. How do you take money advice from people that ain't got no money? Who goes to the gym and get the fat trainer? You know what I'm saying? It makes no sense. So everything should be interconnected. And if you're successful in this thing, then it should be a reflection of what your life is here because you've implemented it over into this space. Similarly, when we talking about predatory behavior in our streets and in our society, right? I would never push my daughter out. My daughter can live with me 30, 40 years old. I don't care how old she is. If she want me to build a wing over here, if she want me to make sure that my daughter has a house waiting on her whenever she decides that she wanted to get married and they wanted to move into their first place. She has a house waiting for her, or they can live with us, right? And if we tell our children, or we say that we would never push them out for people or for them to then be able to live this independent life, because really the reality is that we really just trying to push them out so we can live our own lives because you really don't have no great relationship with the people that you're raising. Why would women, and I'm really taking this into consideration, and you guys know that I'm always open to the possibility that I'm wrong. And so I interact with the chat in order to get your insight because I like to stay connected with the people. This is not just a monologue. This is me talking to you guys. I see you guys in the chat. What up, what up, what up? Why would women want to be independent of men? Who sold y'all that? Who told y'all that? Why do you feel comfortable going out at night by yourself? Why do you feel comfortable going out by yourself? Why do you feel comfortable letting people that you just met babysit your kids? Why do you feel comfortable with people that you've never met before and calling them your friends? Why do you feel comfortable not being under a man's covering and preferring to be by yourself? Now, if you just so happen to be doing your own things, I still think that it's steps that you can take in order to ensure that you protect yourself. But don't you understand that protection is proactive instead of reactive? Because if something already happens to you, that's what the police is for. They can't help you. The things that we want police presence for is to then deter crime from happening in our society or in our neighborhoods so that we can then live a fruitful life. We want to send our children to the best schools, so on and so forth, right? I'll bring it back to you at the end of this conversation. Let's go and see what's happening out here in society. And this is one of the things that's been popping up on my timelines recently. And so I went off the reservation in order to do a little bit more research and see what's recently been happening all across the United States of America. Because just because we don't report on it and it's not something that's at the forefront of our minds does not mean that it's not happening. Let me show you how safe it is for you out here.
And good evening. Off the top at 6 tonight, a very disturbing Local 10 News exclusive. A shocking sexual assault at one of Florida's most famous landmarks, the southernmost point buoy. It was all caught on camera. Someone was watching the web camera perched above the southernmost point when that attack happened. That witness immediately called Key West police. Let's get right to Local 10's Janine Stanwood live in Key West with the exclusive. Janine.
And prosecutors say that victim, a tourist, was sexually assaulted twice. The last time was right here at this very iconic landmark, which is very popular for tourists, all while that live webcam was streaming. And it turns out, you're looking at it live, that video ended up being a very critical clue in getting that guy arrested.
It looked like she was fighting. She fell flat on her face.
A terrifying and brutal attack at one of the Key's most iconic landmarks. Watch as this man has a woman in a headlock. She's resisting. He then shoves her behind the southernmost point marker in Key West, where prosecutors say he sexually assaults her. Minutes later, she stumbles and runs. He zips up his pants. But what
Imagine when we didn't have the technology to be able to have 24-hour live streams on a webcam. I know you don't think that it can happen for you. I know you don't think it's possible. Think about it, though. Technically, this woman was lucky because he could have threw her over. Every single day, I need to clear out my cache on my phone. I need to make sure that I go through my Instagram profile and that I'm following the right people. I don't follow many people, but I need to figure out what it is that I'm liking that's starting to have certain things pop up on my Instagram feed, because every day I see, oh, this woman is missing, or that woman is missing, or this white woman is missing, or this black woman is missing. And then, of course, you guys want to make it a racial issue. And so as a result, what you do is you say, well, you start to compare it to how many white women is getting reported versus how many black people are getting reported. And then we fall away from the true purpose of why we should be having these conversations in the first place, is that people should not be getting assaulted, disappearing, ending up on the side of the road, the whole nine. This man on a webcam took this woman behind the Key West thing, did what he wanted to do, let her stumble away, and then zipped up his pants and walked away. Now, remember, this is one of the people that actually let her go, let her live. Why do you guys feel compelled to be independent, not be interdependent on, and remove yourself from your households in order to be by yourself? It's insane.
you might not have known is there is a web camera right here, live streaming everything. And it just so happens a 911 dispatcher 1,600 miles away in Boston was watching the webcam and calls Key West police.
I'm actually calling from Boston, but bear with me, this is going to sound crazy, but I'm at work and I had the southernmost web point cam.
Yeah.
I could almost swear that I saw somebody get raped.
According to the report, witnesses in Key West also call police after seeing a nude female crying and screaming. Officers meet up with her at a nearby hotel and later learn she was reportedly raped earlier in the night off Duval Street. The man, identified as Kerry Calvin Gasag, claims he stepped in to rescue her and drive her away. Instead, he drives her to the iconic buoy and terrorizes her again.
Hold on. I wasn't expecting that one. I didn't see this story all the way up until this point. Let me tell you how god awful these streets are and why I didn't even want to have children, but then I reluctantly did. One of the best decisions that I've made, because I would never take my daughter back. Let me tell you how god awful we are living right now and what society has waiting for you. She was assaulted, so she reached out and cried for help. This gentleman right here said, okay, let me drive you over and help you. Put her in a headlock and then assaulted her again and then walked away. And somebody just so happened to be leveraging the technology that's available on the live stream and seen it happen. This man was walking with her in a headlock in Key West. Imagine what's happening in the back alley somewhere. Did you know that during the pandemic, one of the major concerns for most people, for most schools and principals and stuff like that, was that so many children was locked in a home with no way to be able to get out or get away from what was happening in their household, and they had no safe haven. And so it was 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, people being subjected to, I'm going to be reading that super chat shortly, thank you, people being subjected to the predators in their own homes. This is insane.
Raped earlier in the night off Duval Street. The man, identified as Carrie Calvin Gasag, claims he stepped in to rescue her and drive her away. Instead, he drives her to the iconic buoy and terrorizes her again, even returning to tamper with evidence.
He came back and scooped up her clothes.
Gasag is arrested and nearly 2 years later, on Thursday, pleaded guilty to all counts against him.
And it took 2 years just to even be able to get this guy to plead guilty in the first place. 2 years. 2 years. Let me show you what else is happening out here in these streets for everybody that's thinking that it's all cool and it's safe out here. Let me show you what else is popping.
A local pastor now facing continuous sexual assault of a child. According to official documents, Robert L. Carter repeatedly raped a young family member, even impregnating her.
Tonight, her father is speaking only to our Devin Clark, who is live outside of HBD headquarters with further details. Devin.
I got to tell you, this warrant states that the rapes started when this girl was just 7 years old and lasted well into her late teens, happening at least 600 times with a felony charge now filed. The alleged victim's father is speaking out, but we do want to warn you, what you're about to hear may be extremely disturbing.
She had been around this monster since she was about 6 years old.
This man asked not to be identified as to protect his daughter's identity. That isn't stopping him from speaking out about this man, 39-year-old Robert L. Carter, who he says was a family member to his daughter.
He's always been big to her, and I had to realize that she'd been fearful.
The man, whose profile on the Black Preachers Network website has him listed as a bishop and senior pastor, is now an accused rapist.
Let's stop there. Let's stop there. Let me be very, very clear. Very few things I'm willing to crash out in my life. I had a guy on Fight Club the other night tell me, Anton, I don't like the way that you hold me accountable. I'm going to pull up in your city. As a matter of fact, I got a court date. I'm already a felon. I'm already under arrest. I'm already under duress. I already got an ankle bracelet. I'm going to be pulling up in your city. Meet me at 1200 Telegraph and I want to fight you. And I was like, 1200 Telegraph? Wait a minute. I had to bail somebody out of jail over there before. Ain't that the courthouse where the sheriffs are? I didn't know if he was trying to set me up or if he was just so angry at the fact that he had a court date on October 26th that he was willing to go back to jail and threaten me on camera, knowing that he was on probation and he had to go to court on October 26th. In order to be able to have this conversation in the first place. I said, no, you are not making a threat in which I've saved to my hard drive so that I can make sure that I get that over into your probation officer and to the presiding judge before October 26th so that that can influence the decision of whether or not they want to let you go home. It's crazy. It's crazy out here, right? And that was a known felon who calls himself a misogynist. And I said, man, I'm not crashing out for this guy. I have a beautiful life ahead of me. He has jail bars ahead of him. Why would I ever crash out for a man that I've never met in my entire life because he's offended at me holding him accountable for making bad decisions and admittedly putting his hand on women? Don't worry. We'll get all of that information out to you guys later. We want to make sure that this guy gets locked up. We don't want him patrolling the streets. with assault on his mind, all right? But very few things I'm willing to crash out for, all right? Yeah, his name was Joseph. I don't know his last name. Our streets. Make sure you get with the ladies, do a little bit of research. We're going to make sure that we get this predator behind bars. But very few things, yeah, he got an ankle monitor on. Very few things I'm willing to crash out for in my life. Very, very few things. This is one of them. There's no way in the world that as a father, listen, I know he on this live and he's speaking out and he want to make sure that he warns everybody else about the bishop, the head bishop, pastor at the church. Family, is no way that when I find out, there's no way that I can't find out because I'm intimately connected with my daughter and I know everything that's going on in her life. I'm checking her. I'm talking to her. I'm having conversations with her. I'm warning her, hey, this is how you're going to go about doing things, so on and so forth. And this is one of the reasons why I keep talking about protection and provision is proactive. How do you not know what's going on for well over 10 years into their teens in their lives? How are you so consumed with other things that's going on in life to where you are not familiar with what's going on in your own household? Are you and the mother together? I have so many questions. And listen, I'm understanding. He and his daughter are the victims, but I'm just telling you, there's no way that the police could have got there fast enough before I did. It's no way. There's no way that the police can get there before I get there and it's over. Ain't no talking, ain't no conversations, ain't even no fist thrown. It's all downhill from there on everything. There's no way I'm sitting here having a conversation with you on this newscast talking about it. No way. All I see is red. I'm raged. No way that I'm able to have this conversation talking about this Houston area pastor named Bishop Robert L. Carter 600 times. 600 times? No, check this out, though. It get worse.
I don't understand, how you can carry yourself, walk around preaching the word and living, alive.
According to Carter's arrest warrant filed last month, the abuse began back in 2008 when the victim was 7 years old. It states he would go in her room and make her perform a sex act on him on a nightly.
I just want to tell y'all what's out here. I'm literally showing you that you do not want to leave your daughter or you as an individual woman. I don't care if you white, black, whatever. You do not want to be out here unprotected. What up, Lauren? You don't want to be out here by yourself. It's hard enough as a unit. You got the whole world against you. We are more concerned with things that is not relevant to our lives and things that we need to be focused on. And this is insane. And guess what? Related to you. You want to have a conversation about why everything is so messed up in the community? Why we're advocating for alphabet communities and all of that other type of stuff? You want to know why? It's for stuff like this. You keep talking about people are choosing for themselves. No, they got unresolved trauma because the number one reason why we're in this situation in the first place, in my opinion, is from fatherless homes, a lack of protection, too much freedom. And when people have the option to be able to choose for themselves, they choose wrong. They choose wrong. Absolutely, positively wrong. I am all over everything. I need to know what the hell is going on with every single person that's under my covering 100% of the time. That's just who it is that I am. And if you're not under my covering, God bless you, because it ain't nothing I can do for you. If you crash out, you just crash out. I'll call the police on my way. But why would you even want to be free in order to have certain things happen to you. You know what come with freedom? Pain, suffering.
Basis.
How? Like, how could you even get aroused? Like, it doesn't make any sense.
No. How is he getting in the room? That's my question. Since 2008?
The warrant states the abuse got worse over the years and that it would happen in multiple locations, including their home when everyone was asleep, Carter's grandmother's home, and behind an H-E-B in the parking lot before dropping the victim off at school. The document also states that Carter would bring the victim here to the Greater Bible Way Church in Sunnyside, where he had an office, and rape her.
She's had an episode where she ended up in the hospital, for psychiatric reasons.
The warrant states she secretly had Carter's baby.
What if she would have died that night? She has a baby in the closet.
How do you, as a father, sit here and have a conversation with me and tell me that y'all knew all of this time that this woman, this young girl, secretly had this monstrous... You know what the funniest part about this whole situation is? You know what the saddest thing about this whole thing is? Is that 10 times out of 10, and this is what I keep telling y'all over and over and over again, you know who the predators are in your family, in your church, in your community. Y'all all know. You see it. You know it. It's familiar to you. You've protected it. Listen, this is not something that's new. This is not something that's new. Secretly had a child. How do your child secretly have a child? That don't even make sense. How does your child secretly have a child? You can't tell me that you don't know. How do you not know? I know everything there is to know about my daughter. When my daughter was thinking about doing something that she wasn't supposed to do, I was like, you walking too fast to the refrigerator. Why you want some snacks this late at night? I'm not playing no games. I know everything. I know the nature of my daughter. I know if she's lying. I know if she blinked twice or she winked once. I know if she moved left before she moved right, what her sentiment is. I know when she's feeling down. I know when she's feeling excited. I know when she's feeling whatever it is. If she's too tired, if she needs to lay down and go to sleep on the weekend instead of going out and having a good time. I know every single thing there is to know. I pay super attention. There's no way that you can sit here and tell me that you do not know what is going on with your kids or in your household if you are an active parent or an active father. Just tell me that y'all, come on, man. I know whether or not a chick is for the streets or not within 10 minutes of meeting her and having a conversation. Oh, yeah, that one for the streets. Yeah, that one for the streets. You ain't got to tell me your body count. I already know. I see the way you moving. If you would give it up to me on the first night, what makes you think that you wouldn't give it up, that you ain't gave it up before? How do y'all... We know who the predators are in our communities.
By herself. And he came and got the baby and took the baby to a fire station and dropped the baby off.
With many questions, we went to Carter's address listed on the warrant. But no one seemed to be home, so we called him.
The person you are calling is not available. Record your message at the tone.
No answer.
While the warrant has been filed, we understand that Carter has not been taken into custody at this time. As for the baby mentioned in the story, the father you heard from says his daughter is in the process of trying to get the child back. Reporting live outside of HPD headquarters tonight, Devin Clark, KPRC 2 News.
Where the mama at? Where's everybody at? I just want to know where everybody at. Because, see, this is deeper. This go deeper than the predator that allegedly is being charged with and arrested as a result of this. This is way deeper than that. I need to know everything and what is going on in these communities to where y'all are continuing to allow for this stuff to play out and then think that it's society's fault or blame it on systematic oppression or blame it on the man or blame it on whoever it is that y'all can find that ain't even got nothing to do with y'all will sit here and blame me for calling out the BS of what's happening in your community, but you won't hold the very people accountable that you see doing this egregious stuff within y'all own households. Stay safe. Stay safe. Stay very, very safe out here. Let me read a couple of these super chats and then we're going to continue over with the show because this ain't it. This ain't it. Pat Fobbs. Oh, yeah, I read that one. Shout out to you. I appreciate you for the super chat, big dog. Sounds like it's a penalty for you paying it early. I don't know how much that penalty is, but we'll get into it. John Doe in the building says, I worked for a company for years and was being paid enough. I got a second job that gave me the pay and stability that I wanted. Now my other job is offering a promotion. Problem is morale is still low. Anton, what do you suggest? Whose morale is still low? The company or yours? You saying that the morale? Listen, my morale is based off of what I get paid. I am not attached to any position or any space based off of my investment into what's going on. Man, listen, I am there to collect a paycheck. I am there to execute, give you what it is that you need in order to be successful. And I am emotionally detached when I am no longer there. I am going to do the thing that's in the best interest of the company. And then I'm going to leverage the money that I get in order to continue to boost my morale. My morale is boosted based off of what's in my bank account, not what's going on at the job. I'm not attached to what goes on at the job. I am not attached to what goes on at the job. I am there to execute, be the best version of myself in order to make sure that we getting this project off the ground. Man, I don't think about that place when I'm going to sleep. Your morale is in your success and not how they make you feel as a result of being there. Control yourself. Control yourself. Run that bag up, run that check up, and if you're able to do both, then do both. Run that check up. Shout out to John Doe. I appreciate you. Jeremy H. says, good morning. Can I purchase a pickup truck for my business and write the payments and maintenance costs off of my taxes? Well, here's a couple of different things. I see y'all asking me Patreon level questions out here, but let me give you a little bit of insight. So, number one, you have to have a personal vehicle that is completely separate from the business vehicle. Okay? The personal vehicle has to be able to substantiate what it is that you're doing when you're not conducting business. Y'all know, I've actually shown y'all and I've actually let y'all pick out my personal vehicle, which wound up being a Hyundai Tucson, right? My personal vehicle is a Hyundai Tucson. The business vehicles are specifically related to taking care of business for that particular business, right? And so as a result of it, first and foremost, you need to have your own separate personal vehicle that's separate from the business vehicle because you can't conflate the two. Number two is different ways that you can finance it. If you buy it, then there's different depreciation methods that have to come along with how it is that you account for it. If you lease it and it's actually for the business and you actually need to check with your state and all of that in order to make sure that you're getting the right type of vehicle, if it's a weight requirement, so on and so forth. There's more to it. But if you actually lease it and it's actually a business vehicle that you're using for business, yes, you can write off the entirety of the lease payments, including the maintenance, the insurance, and everything that's tied to maintaining that vehicle. Anything related to maintaining that vehicle, you can write it off. Absolutely. I'm not giving you advice. I'm giving you what it is that I do. Make sure you check with your tax professional in order to, get all of the best write-offs. Somebody said the Tucson is garbage. The Murano is the best tier SUV for Hyundai. What do I care? When did I start caring about what's garbage or not? Man, I don't even have 6,000 miles on that car. See, that's how y'all get caught up. Oh, man, it's garbage. You need to get this. Oh, man, you need to get that. Man, I got something that get me from point A to point B is paid for, and I can't write that off as a business expense because it's my personal vehicle. What do I care? Come on, man. Y'all need to make sure. Come on. Let's focus. Focus. You need something to get you from point A to point B, and then you need something to be able to take care of business in. The thing that we care about is making sure that we reduce our taxes, run our numbers up, get assets, and continue to increase our net worth. All of that other type of stuff, that's for y'all ego. If you knew what I was really driving, then you wouldn't even be saying this in the first place. I drive a Hyundai Tucson as my personal vehicle, Everything else is business related. All right. Catch the wave. Stop doing stuff in order to substantiate something for people that don't care nothing about you. Don't nobody care about what you driving. Care about a Murano for. DeAndre Bates says, good morning. Is a supply chain and operations management a good bachelor's degree? I prefer you go into something STEM related. Management, most people that are engineers ultimately wind up becoming the top level C-suite executives. So you don't want to limit yourself to supply chain management or whatever. The degree is the thing that gets you in. All right. That's not whether or not they're going to hire you. You want to get something that sets a foundation for you to make a lot of money. I would suggest you go into STEM related fields. You can go into nursing. You can go into cybersecurity, which is my number one industry that I think that you should go in. Software engineering is cool. You can even go into project management. You can be a scrum master. You can do a lot of different things. But the bachelor's degree is not based off of the career that you want. That's the foundation that gets you in the door. You want to focus more on what your long-term goals are and then reverse engineer where it is that you want to go based off of that. So I would suggest you get into cybersecurity personally or cloud engineering. Cloud engineering is my 1B. Shout out to DeAndre Bates. I appreciate you. NPR Will says, how cancel a lease on an apartment? You mean you got to call them. Technically, you're not supposed to be able to cancel the lease. That's why they make you sign a 6-month, 12-month, 18-month, 24-month deal in order to lock in a rate because they want to incentivize you. Technically, they can hold you accountable for that, right? So you need to call them and talk to them and ask them, is there a way for you to be able to get out of your lease early termination fee that may keep your security deposit? I don't know. So it's different people for different folks. It depends on who's managing it. I don't worry about it. If anybody ever wanted to get out of the lease, I would let them out. I wouldn't hold them to it because I don't want them tearing up my property in the first place, but I don't have those problems. Torrance Daniels is in the building, says new bag chaser as of today. Very excited and ready to tap in with a coaching call. Make sure y'all tap into the Patreon. Link is in the description. And congratulations to Torrance. Let's get it popping. All right, let's move on. So we're not just done with the Predators. Before we start getting into the money, I want to share something else with y'all. So this man, because I also want to highlight the heroes in addition to highlighting the bad things that goes on in our community. This man is from Pontiac, Michigan. Now, a lot of people are not familiar with Pontiac, Michigan, but Pontiac, Michigan is a small suburb. It is actually considered one of the worst suburbs in Oakland County. So you got Wayne County, which Detroit is in, and then you got some really nice suburbs that is around still in Wayne County, like Livonia, so on and so forth. But then in addition to that, surrounding Wayne County, it's like the big three. It's just like the automakers. It's Wayne County, Oakland County, and Macomb County. Now, Oakland County is one of the wealthiest counties in the United States of America. But Pontiac is like the bad little sister, that one person in the family that just can't get right. Everybody in the family is successful except for Pontiac. Everybody is in there is successful except for Pontiac. Bad little sister. Problem child. Stepchild. Read no super chat shortly. Stepchild inside of the family, right? My man, he called him Bupak Shakur. Now, I was always trying to figure out, why do they call this man Bupak Shakur? Why do they call him Bupak Shakur? Well, apparently he was the boogeyman, and he approached people and he dealt with it accordingly, similar to how Tupac hit him up was when he got in front of his ops. Now, who was his ops? His ops just so happen to be child predators. Make sure y'all subscribe to the channel, turn on your notifications, tap into the Patreon. Link is in the description as well as pinned to the top of the chat. Let's run it up.
That deputy.
So, let me preface before I show you this, and I'm going to be reading super chat shortly. Let me preface this before I show you this. This that I'm going to show you first, I'm going to show you two different videos. This one that I show you first is a video from 1 year ago. 1 year ago. This video that I'm going to show you first is from 1 year ago. All right.
In uniform for just about 5 months here at the sheriff's office, and now he's in some trouble. And it's all because of a vigilante here in Pontiac who works to catch child predators.
They be like, wow, really? You're 15?
Robert Lee, a self-proclaimed vigilante, posing on the Whisper messaging app as a 15-year-old girl to lure would-be predators.
I downloaded the Whisper app myself, but then I tried to catch somebody and somebody showed up. Like that quick. They look like I'm catching a predator right now.
He's only been doing this a few months and says he's caught and publicly shamed dozens of men, in some cases even handing his evidence over to police.
They keep saying they can get in trouble, and they still go through with it, and they still get caught.
The latest this week, he says, is an Oakland County Sheriff's deputy assigned to the jail who's now suspended without pay due to Robert's actions. Here is a snapshot of their conversations. While Robert says the deputy was actually on duty at the Oakland County Jail. Robert says that he's a 15-year-old girl several times through their very sexual conversation.
If they continue to talk after that, they basically a predator.
Then Robert says the 33-year-old sends a picture of himself, and the two discuss how much the teen's services are for sex acts. And
I don't even want to question why y'all sending y'all pictures, because I want y'all to continue to send y'all pictures. I want y'all to continue to get caught. I want you to keep downloading the Whisper. Wait till you see ma. Wait till you see ma. Like this. Shout out to the Yin Yang and his gang. Yin Yang and his gang. I want y'all to continue to send your pictures. Show yourself. Put on your work uniform. Do it. Listen, y'all. There are predators everywhere. Everywhere that you turn, they are wearing regular uniforms. They are your police officers. They are your pastors. They are your crossing guards. They are your teachers. They are your executives. They're in information technology. They are in the public sector, political sector, every single place that you turn to. You could be walking past somebody that is trying to lure you, or in this particular case, what he thought was a 15-year-old girl, while he's sending uniform pictures and asking for a purchase price for how much he would be able to get that. That's insane. That is insane. It just makes you think though, right? It doesn't make you think like it makes me think, because it makes me think, and I start to put everything together and I start trying to figure out what is the agenda behind all of these alphabetical words and letters that they continue to push through. And then I start seeing legislation across the United States of America and out in California. And then I start seeing words, because words mean things, and they say stuff like, well, you can't help who you love or who you're attracted to. Have y'all ever heard that before? You can't help who you are. You are born this way. And so on the outset, we say, well, who cares? Anybody can do anything that they want to do as long as it don't affect me. I just said 3 different statements that we've all justified in our minds that may make sense considering the direction that this country is going. Think about it. It don't affect me. What do I care? You can't help who you are. You're born this way. All 3 of those things are things that have been programmed, stamped into our minds, and beat into us time and time and time and time again. So much so that people say it without even consciously thinking about what it is that they're communicating. Okay, so cool. Well, if that's the verbiage and that's the rhetoric that we've now been programmed to embrace, how can you not use it? This is what the legislation is saying. How can you not use it to justify your attraction to something that we think is egregious today? Are we being reprogrammed to look at what it is that we've seen based off of the rhetoric that's been programmed into us, to think differently about what people are attracted to? If you can't help who you're attracted to, then that means that you should be able to justify your mindset and your predator behavior when it comes to what you're attracted to. You see how an agenda then is used to reprogram you to look at something as normal that you didn't think was normal before. But in order for us to be able to push things through, we have to substantiate it by getting you to accept it. The minute that you accept it as normal is when we can then justify it, which is why it's called an agenda. It's something that's being pushed to you so that you embrace it. The worst thing that you can do for somebody is force them to do something that they don't want to do, because you'll always get resistance. If they program you to think a certain way, then that means that they don't have to push you. You'll be the one that do it for them. You're not paying attention. You're not paying attention because you're so focused on how you feel instead of being focused on, hold on. Hey, somebody time out. Don't block them. Time out, got it all day, 313. Please don't tell me how to run my show. If you could do it, you would do it, but you're not doing it, so shut up and enjoy the show like everybody else. Somebody, moderator, time out. Don't block. Time out. Got it all day, 313. It's unfortunate I got to time out somebody from my own city. Let's continue.
It gets even more graphic.
And again, for those of y'all that's just coming into this, this is what happened a year ago. And I'm prefacing this story so that I can show you what's happening today.
A meetup never happened, but Robert blasted the suspected deputy on social media.
He stopped replying, and then he tried to tell me that somebody else was using his picture and stuff.
Monday morning, the Oakland County Sheriff's Office tells Fox 2 they immediately launched an internal investigation into any wrongdoing.
It's like I'm surprised, but I'm not surprised because I know the predator.
Again, look at this man that's talking right here. This man is a national hero. He will never get a 21 gun salute. He will never get his flowers. He will never, ever be celebrated. His story will go to die. And even though he put himself on the line in order to continue to expose and bring justice and all kind of visibility to what is happening in our society, he will never be celebrated. Again, this is a year ago.
In all forms. Police, regular people, rich people, poor people.
Again, allegations at this point, but as we said, the deputy, he is suspended without pay as this investigation moves forward.
Now, that was over a year ago. Let's fast forward over into today. I'm going to be reading Super Chat shortly.
Robert Lee was known for exposing those who troll teens online, using social media to pose as an underage girl luring in predators.
I've caught 35. He'll be number 35 that I caught.
This is from an interview we did with Lee last year, after he outed a sheriff's deputy for allegedly trying to solicit sex from a minor. That deputy was fired as a result. He kept going from there until...
Wait a minute. The deputy was fired. Never arrested, just fired. We'll probably move on. Identity is still concealed. We'll go on to get another job. Never ever being required to be rehabilitated. Never being evaluated. Just fired. Moved on. Nothing. Let's continue.
Last night when a confrontation cost him his life. Police say he confronted two men inside a Coney Island in Pontiac. Lee accused one of them of being a pedophile and punched him. In return, one of the men pulled out a knife, the other a gun, and shot Lee to death. At a vigil outside the restaurant, friends and family mourned his death.
We're going to honor his memory. We're here to show support and show that, you know, everything he did was not for nothing. We're here to show that he really made an impact on the community.
From the get, police have called Lee's work well-intentioned but dangerous.
We know he has good intentions from this, and we've actually suggested to this individual multiple times, this is really dangerous. And here's some of the problems and pitfalls with doing this. And tragically, it played out that way.
Two men have been arrested in connection to the killing. Police say the suspected shooter is 17 years old and the other man is 18. Reporting in Detroit, Jacqueline Francis, Local 4.
And therein is the end of BUPOC. No more. That's it. It's dangerous times that we live in. It's nothing else for him. That is the end of his journey. The end of the conversation, the end of the confrontation. It's over for him. Ran up on somebody that he then confronted that didn't happen to be a sheriff or whatever, so on and so forth. Got into a confrontation. Couple of gunshots. End of his life. That's it. And you know what the interesting part about it is? It's a strong possibility that these dudes will probably get off. Or they'll probably just catch a gun charge for having an illegal pistol with them at that time. What is the moral of this story? What is the moral of this story? Heroes suffer the worst fates. They get no flowers at the end of the journey. It's not safe out here. You need to be very, very careful. Ladies, you need to be, it's not safe for us as men. For you as women, you need to be even more careful. You do not want to be out here by yourself. You do not want to be independent. You do not want to try to be a hero. You don't want to be out here having conversations with people thinking that you know who they are. Y'all taking people home as models that's getting strangled over in LA. As serial killers are walking around every single day. Do you know how many people actually have taken somebody's life that is walking around on the street that has never been caught every day? And we just try to sweep it under the rug because we don't want to give the illusion that it's not safe, because people want you to go outside to continue to do the things that you're doing every single day. Feminism was really a way for them to continue to monetize your independence, and you have no clue about it. Feminism is a way for them to monetize your independence, because the more that you're out and about, the more that you spend, the more that you shop, the more that you add to the GDP, the more that you work, the more that you continue to do things. And guess what? When it's all said and done, nobody is going to your funeral. Nobody is going to have a fish fry for you. Nobody is going to bury you. Nobody is going to care anything about you. And people are going to move on with their lives as though they never knew you. As though they never knew you. You do not have a tribe. You do not have a covering. Your family can't help you. You are out here alone, and you are vulnerable. Every day, you are vulnerable. You are food. You are an opportunity. And if they could figure out how to get you by yourself, every day that you go home with somebody, every day that you go to the bar, every time you walk out to the parking lot, you are a target. Every time you go out by yourself, when it's at night, you want to order DoorDash, you don't know who delivering to your door. You have no clue whatsoever. You are out here by yourself alone, and you want to be independent? I don't even go to certain places by myself. And I ain't talking about with a woman. I'm talking about with security or somebody that got my back. I don't even go to certain places by myself. I don't even feel comfortable rocking out by myself. And you want to be independent? And you are literally looked at as food? Tigers, lions, cats out here, and you are nothing but a gazelle. You are looked at as an opportunity. Be careful. Be careful. And somebody said, just call the police. By the time that the police get there, the crime has already been committed. Rest in peace to him. Let me read some of the super chats, and then we're going to continue on with the show. Let's get to the money after this. Aaron Woe says, I'm choosing to go in CS computer science, and I'm loving it so far. Aaron, make sure that you specialize. Don't just go into computer science in general. Specialize. Specialize. I know they keep telling y'all to be a jack of all trades. Specialize in whatever. Go into cloud engineering, cybersecurity. Don't just go into computer science. Specialize. All right. Shout out to Aaron Wallen. Congratulations with you on that. DeAndre Bates is in the building, says, I'm already in supply chain management as a warehouse manager. I think the degree would give me a leg up. So are you saying I should change careers? I am absolutely saying you should change careers. Look, you're in the business as a warehouse manager. There's really no upward mobility. It is, but it's not, because most people will pay you to leave versus actually continuing to promote you. Should you still be going for a promotion? Absolutely. I suggest to people Never get comfortable with a company any more than 3 years. 3 years is an opportunity for you to get some time under your belt. You can get that on your resume. You've made some good connections. You have some successes, so on and so forth. But you need to be job hopping. You need to be moving into a completely different industry. Look at your upward mobility, right? When you ever trying to figure out should you change careers, look at the upward mobility. And this is why I tell people to reverse engineer where it is that they're going to be. Take the end goal and then break it down into milestones as to what it is it's going to take for you to get there and what the barriers to entry in order to do so, right? I'm absolutely telling you should change careers, 100%. And if you're waiting for them to promote you, it's going to be a bad do for you, fam. And it doesn't mean that they won't promote you, but I ain't waiting on nobody to do nothing, all right? Shout out to DeAndre. I appreciate you. Chike Auto LLC says that's his pronoun, Anton. He should stand on that. It is what it is. Carolina's own DJ Smooth in the building. Shout out to you, says Grand Rising, a great morning. Anton, I'm on the road just tuning in. But when you have an opportunity, please give us your thoughts on the first 3D printed home in Detroit. Honestly, I'm clueless on this particular subject. I've seen that. And it's coming worldwide, right? I've been looking at the 3D homes that's being printed. I think that right now people are getting desperate. I'm going to go into it because I'm going to talk about real estate towards the end of the show. I think that people are getting desperate. It's a cheaper way and a cheaper alternative for you to be able to get a home. But I think that people are getting desperate, so their standards are getting lowered. But I'm going to get into that in a minute. Shout out to the Carolina's own DJ Smooth. I'm going to get into that. Nick T is in the building. Shout out to Nick T. Says, heroes are sandwiches in society and nobody cares at all. Not even a little bit. Aaron Woe says, you see the video of the fake delivery driver? I'm not. I have not. You got to send it to me in my email. Thank you, my friend. And he says, cybersecurity big dog, more specifically, Penister. All right. Going to cybersecurity or cloud engineering. I think that those are the big things that you want to go into. Shout out to you. All right, let's continue over with the show. Before we get into the money, let's talk about retail theft. Retail theft is hitting us, and it is one of the things that is a contributing factor over into inflation because they have to pass those prices and those losses over into the consumer. Make sure y'all hit a like for the algorithm. Let's continue to run it up.
American consumers are reeling from high food prices. The cost of food up better than 4% annually, outpacing inflation at 3.7%. A recent report from Lending Club also shows 60% of adults are living paycheck to paycheck. The number unchanged from last.
Wait. Let's not skip past that. 60% of adults, I actually think is higher. I will put the number more closer to 85%. I will put the number closer to 85%. They say 60% of Americans is living paycheck to paycheck. And this is important because this is actually going to factor into what it is that we're talking about in the next subject, right? 60%, more than half of you. It's over 2,000 people in here watching this right now. The likes is a little low, but we're going to get there. 2,000 plus people are watching this live stream right now. So according to this, 1,200 of you, at least 1,200 of you are living paycheck to paycheck. Did y'all take the poll today? Because we're going to get into the real estate aspect of things. I would say it's closer to 85%. 85%, in my opinion, at the very least, are living paycheck to paycheck. The overwhelming majority of people that make six figures are living paycheck to paycheck. If you did not watch that clip where I broke down the taxes on Friday, then y'all need to go and deep dive into that. Make sure you tap into the Patreon. Link is in the description as well as pinned to the top of the chat. Let's continue.
Year when inflation was actually higher. Joining me right now is the CEO of Stu Leonard's grocery stores. Stu Leonard is with us. Stu, great to see you. Thanks very much for being here.
You too, Maria.
Yeah,
Thank you.
It's early. I know usually we see a lot of activity behind you, but it's only before 7 a.m. I guess you're not open yet. But Stu, let's talk about pricing and what kind of changes you're seeing. Have you seen inflation and high prices come down as the headline number has come down, or no?
Well, you know what? I think when we look at
I got you, Lauren Mac. I got you.
This year, Maria, they're about the same. There's a couple little blips, like meat prices have gone up because the herd sizes of the cattle is lower. So you're seeing a little bit of a bump in meat right now. We're hoping that'll come down by the holidays. But as far as other items, bananas are the same. Avocados might have gone up a little bit. A lot of this is supply and demand. Like right now out in California, grapes and blueberries are high because of the hurricane they had. So a lot of customers are finding you're sort of riding that supply and demand curve right now.
You know, a lot of the retailers talk about what they call shrink, and that is the shrink of inventory because of all of the theft. Have you had to grapple with that?
Before he goes into shrink, right? Because I'll explain to you what shrink is. But before he goes into shrink, have y'all noticed that they based the prices off of what they project that prices should be depending on demand, right? So I'll give you an example. They say, well, it's a fire over in California, or the herds are thinner and it's not as many cows, or the cows is not as fat, or maybe they don't have as many antibiotics, or they're not feeding them enough corn or whatever, right? Think about this, y'all. Let's break it down. But we never have a shortage to where you guys don't have access to it. The shortage only contributes to the inflation of the prices. Nobody ever runs out of meat. Nobody ever ran out of grapes. Nobody actually ran out of strawberries. Nobody actually ran out of anybody, of anything, right? Think about this for a minute, y'all. I want y'all to start putting it in perspective. This is, in my opinion, all marketing. It's all marketing. Okay, so we got a shortage out here, so we got to make sure that we raise the prices in order to justify the costs that come along with the shortage. It makes no sense. The herds are thinner, so we got to raise the prices. Well, what did raising the prices actually do? Have you thought about that? Like, it's never going to be, the grocery store doesn't have it on the shelf, but the prices is going to go up based off of the idea of supply and demand. But let me go ahead and let him answer the question based off of shrink.
Hey, here's something everybody can look at. Look, here's two containers of tuna fish. Don't they look the same?
Yeah.
One of them is a leading brand right here at $2.99. This one's Stu Leonard's right here at $1.99. This one is 5 ounces. Ours is 5 ounces. The national brand's is 4 ounces. So look at the two of them. They look exactly the same. So I would just recommend check the package size, because these big companies are reducing the size of the package and keeping the price the same.
Yeah.
So inflation is also listen, I remember when I was growing up, the 25-cent bag of chips is now like the $1 bag of chips. And if you get a deal, if it's a local bag of chips, and you can get it for three for $3 or something like that, 3 for $2. I remember when I first started seeing it, the 25-cent juices turned into 69-cent juices, then they turned into $1 juices. When you get that bag of chips and it's all air at the top, but it looks nice and puffy. Inflation is not just the prices that you pay, is what I'm trying to communicate to you. Inflation is also the amount that they give you for the same price. So you may think that you're getting the same amount of things, but because you're not actually checking, or you're not deep diving into how much you get as a result of it, it may seem like you're still in the same place, but in reality, inflation is you're paying more for what you're paying for. So when you go to the store, it's not just, oh, I'm paying $1.89 for this, I'm paying $12 for this, or the price of eggs. What type of eggs? How many are there? When you get that can of tuna, or you get whatever it is that you're buying a lower quality, or you're getting less of it, right? So you have to take into consider every single factor that goes into what inflation is for you. And this is why I was trying to explain it to you guys last week. Inflation is not just what the government says. Inflation is also an individual journey based off of your lifestyle. If you are not a person that eats meat, then inflation hits you differently. If you are not a person that has a gas vehicle, then inflation hits you differently. If you are a person that has a home paid off and your property taxes are not continuing to go up at an egregious amount. If you are a person that's in New York and you in a rent controlled apartment to where it can't go up any more than a specific amount, then your inflation is going to be completely different than a person that has to sell their home, or they sold their home and then they had to buy a new home in a completely different space at a completely different interest rate. So your individual inflation, the cost for you to be able to survive, live, do business, work, play, put a house over your head, so on and so forth, is going to be different on an individual level depending on what your lifestyle is. If your child says that, well, I don't want to live on campus, I'm going to save money this way, because you will then just make a blanket statement and say, well, college is too expensive. For who? Not for the person that went to community college for the first 2 years to do their general ed requirements and then transferred over to a major university, never lived on campus so that they can save money, worked while they were in school, did not have to pay the same interest that came along with student loans, minimized the amount of expenses, didn't go out and party with their friends and family. They still stayed at home with their parents and just commuted, or they went online instead of driving back and forth over to campus. Their college degree is going to be the same as far as the piece of paper that y'all get at the end of the journey, but the cost for you to go to that major university because you wanted to have the experience is going to be much different across the board. Inflation for you is going to translate differently because the value of money, yes, continues to go down because it's not backed by anything, and the cost of living continues to go up, but it's all driven by human behavior. It's all driven by human behavior. If you go out and you protest, I've seen the Waffle House employees protesting for at least $25 an hour. If you are the type of person that goes out to eat on a regular basis, eventually it trickles down into everybody because ultimately the costs are going to be passed on to the consumer. You understand what I'm saying? So you have to then be very, very intentional about what it is that you're doing from a financial perspective, because it's not just about saving money. You cannot save your way in order to be rich. You cannot save your way to wealth. It's about beating the rate of inflation, but the other part that they didn't tell you is it's also about being careful about how it is that you use your resources and reducing your expenses that you can't write off, that does not add value into your life, continuing to contribute into your assets, which then substantiates what your net worth is.
It's a great point. What I'm asking you about is shrink. The retailers call it shrink because of theft. Have you had an issue with theft?
Oh, yeah. Huge problem right now. All retailers, I talk to everybody, Target, and everybody's reeling. They're putting everything behind glass right now, so people can't steal anything. I said to one of the head buyers at Target, I said, well, doesn't that hurt sales when you put it behind glass? They said people were stealing so much it actually increased sales. So we got to watch it. We have a security guard at the front door. We have 150 cameras in each store, and we're watching customers as they come through. But a lot of problems right now, Maria.
Security guards at the front door, 150 cameras as they walk through. Guess what? When you live in an environment where they don't have to invest so much in security, guess where they pass the cost difference on to? The consumers. So a lot of people will say, well, why does it cost more in the hood when it's the same product? Well, it costs more to be able to put out the same product because they then have to pass over the cost of what that product is over to the consumer, which is not just based off of buying a product and selling it at two, right? The cost of that product is the security cameras and the company that had to install them, and the security guard that then has to stand at the door, and all of the employees that they have to have working, and then all of the people that they have arresting you and taking you and walking around the store trying to act like they regular employees to ensure that you're not stealing. And then they have to call the police, and then they have to have lights and have extra people clean up and all of this other type of stuff. That costs money. So it then increases how much you pay, which is going to be completely different than what they're paying over here, because they don't have to have that level of security in order to ensure that they sell you a piece of meat. You know what shrinkage is? You know what shrink is? Is waste. Waste including what gets wasted, what expires, what goes bad, what's broken, and what's stolen. So my point is this: when you look at the amount of money that it takes in order for you to be able to operate within your own environment, which is another reason why you guys need to be vigilant in making sure that you take care of your community, you call the police, you participate in the success of what's going on around you. It is in your best interest to protect your neighbors. If you see somebody breaking into your neighbor's car, what do you think that the price of insurance is going to be? And then how much more difficult is it going to be for you to also sell your home when everything is depressed, the property values go down, you can't make more money as a result of it. So basically, when your neighbor gets stolen from, you get stolen from. When you see people stealing in the grocery store and you just turn a blind eye and say, well, it's not my business, you then have to pay the price and the difference that comes along with what happens within your community. So when retail theft, when people steal cars, when your property value goes down, when you then have to get more security, when you have to then raise the prices in order to cover the cost of all of the theft that's going on around you, and then you sit here and you whine about inflation that's in your own neighborhood, it is a self-inflicted wound for you not to participate in the success that's happening all around you. Don't talk to me about a food desert. Don't talk to me about a lack of stores. Don't talk to me about the fact that you got to drive all the way over there in order to just get fresh fruits and groceries. It's because you don't do the thing that's in your own best interest because our cultural norms are horrible. We think that it's cool to steal. We think that people that are doing the worst things in our community is awesome. It depresses our values. It depresses. When you have in South Florida and Michigan has some of the worst insurance rates all across the board. Well, that's because they have theft that's running rampant as far as people getting their cars stolen here. Inflation is more than just what the Fed raised rates on. Inflation hurts everybody depending on our lifestyles because we're all interconnected as to what it is that's going to affect us when we don't do the things that's in our own best interest. Let's continue.
Is that if you do catch somebody, the police just, what are they going to do?
Right.
You know, they don't even react. They don't even come over and arrest the person. You just really got to let them go.
Yeah, that's definitely an issue, and that's about bad policy. Stu, I want to get your take on the upcoming holidays and what you're expecting. I see you've got pumpkins behind you, and we've got...
Yeah.
Nah, we don't have to go into that. Shout out to Stu and his pumpkins. But I just wanted to give y'all some insight and a different perspective on inflation from a C student's perspective that maybe you can relate to, so you'll do the right thing when you see things happening and you won't just turn a blind eye. Ain't nobody telling you you got to participate and crash out and try to stop them at the door. But I am telling you that we need to be a little bit more proactive. And if you see your homegirl and she out there and she got that big purse, but she ain't got nothing but a pack of gum in there and you know she about to go stealing, hold that hoe accountable. Hold that hoe accountable. Let me read a couple of the super chats and then we going to continue over with the show. Bag for Bag says, how do you feel about BS in accounting? It's cool. I think accounting is cool. I don't have a problem with that. Again, I'm going to continue to push people in the STEM-related fields. So, DeAndre Bates says, hey, Anton, how can I set up a coaching call with you? Send me a message inside of the Patreon or email me at antondaniels413@gmail.com, and I'm going to get you on the list. I'm going to have my people tap in. VIP status says, not going to lie, chicken wingettes be hard to find. What is a wingette? What is a chicken wingette? I have no idea what a chicken wingette is. Oh my God, Aaron in the building. Shout out to Aaron. Says, morning, Anton. Life is great. It's Lil A's birthday. So I'm blessed to see him growing up. Fatherhood is awesome. I appreciate every moment. Happy birthday. I actually met Little A. Shout out to Lil A. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, Little A. Happy birthday to you. Hey, save that. Save that. Anton Daniels, I am going to be a global icon, but Little A, on behalf of your father, Big A, Little A, remember this. on October 9th, 2023. Anton from AntonDaniels.com, a future global icon and one of the most significant voices in the world that determines where it is that we're going to go in a place of finance, relationships, and everything in between, sat there and wished you a happy birthday. You are going to be one of the most successful young men that ever spanned the globe. You are going to be great. You are going to have a great birthday. Your father loves you. You are absolutely loved. You are embraced by your community. You are going to be a pillar. You're going to be great. You're going to be awesome. I speak greatness on your life because I am projecting and I am expecting for you to exceed every expectation that not only myself, but also your father have for you. God bless you. Have success. Be awesome in everything that you seek to do. And then make sure that you have great character that comes along with whatever the successes is, because how you get it is just as important as to whether you get it. Shout out to Lil A and shout out to your dad. Happy birthday, little homie. We love you. We appreciate you. You are going to be one of the most phenomenal young men ever. All right. Shout out to you. Let's continue over with the show. Make sure y'all hit a like for the algorithm, subscribe to the channel, and turn on your notifications. Let's get into home ownership. Let's get into home ownership. So we're going to slice this a couple different ways, ladies and gentlemen. We're going to slice this a couple different ways, all right? If you are not sharing this with your friends and family, if you are not subscribed to the Patreon, make sure that you tap into the Patreon. Link is in the description as well as pinned to the top of the chat. Let's get it in, all right?
Experts from a perfect storm has caused evictions to soar like never before in Harris County. Today alone, nearly 500 eviction cases were heard. ABC 13's Nick Dotario was at one of those courtrooms today where the judge told him it was something that she has never seen before. Nick?
When the judge got a look at the docket and she saw something she had never seen before, she said
This is a little low, but we're going to get through it anyway.
It's been a really serious situation over the past couple of weeks. More people are struggling to afford rent, a problem experts fear will only get worse in the coming months.
Or if you receive any type of government assistance, you qualify.
Y'all know where Harris County is? Y'all know where Harris County is? Harris County is in Houston. Houston is the new Atlanta. Oh, is that Atlanta? Hold on. I thought Harris County was Houston. Let me double check my sources. Where is Harris County? Harris County is in Texas. It is Houston. Harris County is in Houston. Let's continue.
Leah Gould was all ears as she talked to people at different tables. She was soaking up information because she was worried about what was to come.
I'm not going to lie, it's not easy anymore.
Gould's struggling because of rent, an issue that landed her at Harris County Justice of the Peace Precinct 7 Place 1's courtroom.
It's kind of like tough because I don't know where I'm going to go if I do get evicted.
Gould wasn't alone. Judge Wanda Adams says she's never had a day like today inside her courtroom. Originally, she had more than 140 eviction cases on the docket.
This is the largest I've had since I've been on the bench for the last 2.5 years, almost 3 years.
A growing concern not only in Adams' courtroom.
She said this is the largest that she's had as far as the amount of evictions that she's ever seen come across her courtroom. The docket is full. Absolutely full. Before I start to have conversations and give y'all the game, I got to give y'all that reality check, right? I have to give y'all that reality check. And the reality is, it's hard out here. You know, it's hard out here for a pimp. You ain't on it. When you got to get that money for the rent, you ain't on it. It's hard. Everybody moved to Houston. Everybody voted blue. It's starting to get cold outside. Boogeyman is coming for you. You ain't got to worry about paying rent. You ain't got to worry about being nice. It ain't no man that's going to help you. You going to have to go and live van life. Let's Get that money and go get evicted. She gon' throw you on your face. Judge ain't trying to hear none of that shit. She don't even want to hear your case. She tired of you coming in her courtroom still complaining. Why don't you go back to baby daddy? That's where your main is. Yeah, we gonna freestyle our songs from now on. We not tapping in the yin yang twin yin yang in this thing. We ain't about to go into Terrence Howard. No, it's hard out here for a pimp. You ain't know, nigga. Listen, the judge is horrified, absolutely horrified that all of these eviction notices from everybody that wanted to move over to Houston, y'all was listening to Drake, Houston, Atlanta, Vegas. Houston, Atlanta, Vegas. Y'all wanted to have Houston, Atlanta, Vegas down there in Houston. And the judge said, listen, in Harris County, we got an egregious amount of evictions going on here.
Substantially worse because in any given month this year, it's been higher than the average in 2019 by anywhere from 20 to 70%.
January Advisors principal Jeff Reichman tracks evictions across Harris County. He says the pandemic slowed cases. There were eviction moratoriums, rental assistance, and stimulus.
Wait a minute. Hold on. Wait. Give me a second. Let me see something. Just 1 second. Give me 1 second. I just got to see something.
Anton, don't
What is going on? Wait. I just need to know. Is there a reason? Do we need to start the show like an hour later or what? What is going on, Carrie?
No, I had to work out and Joe's going out of town today. So that was my excuse. But I'm here. I'm in. I'm tapped in.
Okay. All right, Carrie. I got you.
Okay.
All right, bye. Bye. I need to listen. I am very keenly aware of what's going on with my people. When I see y'all slide in talking about good morning, everybody, come on back to the front of the congregation. Let me see what's going on out here in these streets. I need to know what is going on. Why are the people late? Let's continue to talk about these evictions in Houston.
Checks. Those are gone. Reichman says unless more affordable housing options are available, the situation may get worse.
It's almost as if all the good work that was done to prevent evictions during the pandemic came roaring back with a vengeance.
And you know why it came roaring back? Because there was no good work. A moratorium staving off eviction, giving people a bunch of stimulus checks, giving them handouts is not the thing. Nope, Q was here on time. Q was here on time today. Q was here in the very beginning of the show. Giving people a moratorium does not solve their problem in being able to help themselves through this eviction process. It is just, it's coming. It's coming. You knew when you signed on the dotted line that you wasn't going to be able to pay your rent. Most people know that they're not going to be able to endure through it. This ain't even survival. This is like panhandling at this point. Honestly, what we see happening in the housing market and the rental market, even with homeowners, I'm going to get to the homeowners in a minute. What we see happening in the rental market is not even survival anymore. It's panhandling. It's one day at a time. I'm praying. I'm going to try to figure it out. I'm over there. I got to figure out what kind of man I can get on my side. I know why y'all trying to get all of these good men. Evictions notices. It's getting cold outside. Keep on talking about you looking for a good man. When? You wasn't looking for a good man when you ain't have to turn that heat on in the summertime. Oh, now City Boys is up. Nope. City Boys. Inflation. She gonna have to put in double the work in order to get the same. City Boys. I say y'all been learning. So now again, like I said in the very beginning of this show, we gonna translate it over to that other thing, right? Everything is interconnected. So the way that you operate within your finances should be the same way that you operate in your relationships. When she didn't want you, back then she didn't want you. Now she all on you. Inflation. It's called inflation. The price has doubled. That means she got to work twice as hard for your attention. The price went up. The price of the brick went up. City Boys is up all of a sudden. You know how homes sell more in the spring and the summer? In the winter, it get a little bit more depressed. She in a bind. She in a bind, Nate. Yeah, she ain't got no tires on her car. Listen, she not just getting evicted. Her whole life is messed up. Her tires are bald. I pulled up next to a chick today on everything. I could hear her brakes through my music, when my windows and my heat was on and my music was turned up. I could hear her brakes. I looked over to her. I said, my people in the chat gonna say she in the bind, Nate. That's right, Kaiser. Yesterday's price is not today's price. Yesterday's price is not today's price. Tires is bald on the car. Transmission fluid need to be changed. Oil is orange. You know what I'm saying? She one step away from getting fired. She on a PIP. The performance improvement plan. She knows she can't meet the expectations. She's still waking up late for work. Hey, listen. Next time your girl wake up late for work, just say inflation and then just go back to sleep. Because you know that she know, because she told you the day before, I can't be late no more. And then when she get late for work and she keep on sleeping through her alarm, just say to yourself, just say within yourself, inflation. Go back to sleep.
Knowing this, change is happening in a place you may not expect it. Justice of the Peace, Precinct 7, Place 1, isn't just a place where evictions occur. Adams launched behind the bench, Justice of the Peace. Outside the courtroom, tables are filled with organizations offering people ways to go to school, find a job, or learn about legal or rental assistance.
If that was me on the other side, I want someone to care about me. I would want someone to care about me. And normally when they leave, some of them say that they didn't even know that these resources was available.
Assistance school learned about today.
Y'all wild. Y'all wild in the chat. Y'all are in. I got the best chat in the world.
Boost she may need, because after today, she may not know what will happen next.
It's kind of been tough.
Look, you see that? You see that air conditioner in there? No central air. It's getting cold outside. All she got is cold air. She ain't got no hot air coming in. It's tough in Houston. It's tough in Houston. I ain't gonna cap. It's tough in Houston. Yo, I have never seen more people DMing me knowing that I'm a married man. People DMing me, hey, yo, I didn't even know that they were still doing hey, big head. Hey, big head, what you been doing? Trying to stay in touch with you. That's what they keep saying with me. Hey, what's going on? How you been? Trying to stay in touch with you. I've been following you online. Have you? Have you been following me online? What did you see? I see you coming up. You passed the 200,000 mark, trying to get like you. Word. Look, I'm thinking that they just giving me some love, right? They showing me some love. Keep on hitting me up talking about, what's going on? I thought you was just showing me some love. Then all of a sudden, they hit me with this. Man, you know I ain't in no relationship no more. Like, where'd that come from? You know I'm a married man, right? Yeah, you know I just need a little bit of insight. Are you trying to get a free coaching call? Something like that. Oh, okay, let me see how I can help you. Cool. So what happened? You want to come over and talk about it? No, I don't want to come over there and talk about it. I know your rent is late. I know rent due. You ain't finessing time, dog, out here in these streets. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? They trying to get time, dog, to come over there and give them the come up. She says you want a coaching call in person. She said she want a coaching call in person. All right. We got to get to the real estate part. Let me stop joking around. Y'all ain't no good in the chat. Y'all bad influences on me. Let's get to the real estate part. We need to see what's going on in the market so I can give y'all some game that's going to help y'all throughout y'all life, all right?
Welcome back. Mortgage rates racing towards 8% now, locking homebuyers out of the market with mortgage demand plummeting to a nearly 3-decade low. Joining us now, Bright MLS chief economist Lisa Sturdivant. Lisa, great to have you on the program. Thanks for being here. Biggest concern right now is that rates are going up, and given the jobs numbers we saw today, maybe they're going to go up even more from here. But prices are not coming down as quickly as people want. So the market has basically stalled and inventory is low. What are you supposed to do? I mean, housing is a #1 need for many of us out there. How do you navigate this market?
No, absolutely, right? With elevated mortgage rates and prices that are continuing to rise, we've seen affordability hit an all-time low. And for prospective homebuyers in the market, it has only gotten more challenging.
So this is what you are facing, all right? 2.5 years ago, you was getting 2.5%, 3% interest rates, right? And the cost of a home, because a lot of you guys look at homes as assets, and it's some multiple different ways that you need to be able to look at this. And we're going to slice this today, all right? Because you look at homes as assets, and they should be depending on how you're leveraging them, most people thought that home ownership was just their name on the mortgage to pay for the next 30 years, in which they continue to pull the value of it out in order to continue to buy the things that they don't need, or even to get repairs on the home. Some people are not being irresponsible. They just don't know any better, right? And so what most people do, or what they experience, is a wake-up call. So let's break this down. A few years ago, you were paying half the price for the brick. Now you're paying interest rates in a 30-year fixed mortgage. Now remember, I always advocated for y'all to make sure that you're not house poor. Buy the thing that you need in order to be able to survive, not the thing that you want because you're not there yet. It's a time and place for buying the thing that you want. You need to buy the thing that you need. Don't let nobody criticize you. Don't let nobody shame you into thinking that you're supposed to have a bigger place that costs more expensive based off of your income instead of based off of the lifestyle that you're trying to project yourself to have, okay? So first of all, 15-year rates is significantly lower. Not a whole lot, but significantly lower than 30-year rates. So right now, 30-year rates is about 7.5%. I have news for you. Now, this is just my opinion. I am not an analyst. I'm just paying attention to what it is that's happening in the market, and inflation is still higher than they want it to be. They would prefer for inflation to be at around 2%. Inflation is still high. Interest rates are going up. They don't have any choice. Interest rates are still going to go up. I project that this time next year, we're going to be talking about interest rates at around 10%. That's just my opinion. I believe that interest rates are going to be at 10%. How does this help the real estate market? Well, for one, it prevents it from being a flood of inventory, which gives it the illusion that the housing market is still healthy. The housing market is not healthy. The housing market is experiencing several different things. The first thing that you have to compete with is obviously higher interest rates, because we've conditioned our minds to believe that everything is based off of financing in order to get yourself into it. I would bet that you didn't know that based off of interest rates, when you finance that house and you make every single payment, right? You make all of those payments for the next 30 years, you make 360 payments. Can you imagine making 360 payments? Gosh. Is it 320? 320 payments or 360 payments? 360 payments? 360 payments. Can you imagine financing something to where you had to consistently be on time for 360 payments? That's a lifetime. I don't look at home ownership the same way that you do. I'm a patient man. I don't look at home ownership the same way that you do. We are different. $306, and you're going to pay for it longer than that. And the worst part about it is that by the time you get done paying for that house, if you decide not to refinance or you decide not to pull a home equity loan, a HELOC out of the property, you're going to pay more than triple for that property. Meaning that after all of the interest payments, now we didn't even calculate property taxes, that's going to continue to rise. Maintenance fees, nope. Insurance, utilities, because the total cost of a home is not just based off of what it is that you're paying in a mortgage. And we didn't even throw PMI in there because 9 times out of 10, you're not even putting 20% down. You're putting 3.5% down. And when you look at that payment, that voucher, that statement, and it shows you your last payment, how much went to principal and how much went to interest, and you see, especially in the first 10, 15 years of that mortgage payment, that the majority of it went to interest and you didn't even really pay down on the principal, that gotta burn you. I want you to get mad today. I want you to be absolutely, positively disgusted. I want you to be incensed at the idea that you fell into this whole gamification of credit in order to get you to finance a home to make banks richer because you allowed for somebody else to market to you that it was better to own than to rent without getting all of the insight and information on what the context is as to why it is better to own and to rent and how you should leverage your house as an asset and look at it differently in order to continue to make more money. We gonna get there. We gonna get there. Again, I explained to you in the very beginning of this live stream that how you are in one thing is supposed to be translated all the way across the board. You making that $2,500 mortgage payment, that $3,000 mortgage payment, you're going to make 360 of them. Let me pull up my calculator real quick. You're going to make 360 mortgage payments. 360 times 3,000. By the time you pay off that house, you're going to have spent just in payments. This don't even have nothing to do with mortgage insurance. This don't have nothing to do with PMI. This don't have nothing to do with homeowners insurance, nothing to do with maintenance. When you have to take out that home equity loan of credit in order to make sure that you can fix the roof, the water heater is going to go out, the HVAC system going to have to be replaced, leaves, everything. You're going to spend over $1 million alone just in payments for the house if you keep up and the bank don't take it in year 26. Almost $1.1 million. Has anybody ever explained it to you? Has anybody broke it down to you that way? And you know what the worst part about it is? Affordability is going crazy. Even though people are dropping the prices of the house, you're still going to be paying more based off of how much you financed it for and for the interest. Let's continue.
We've seen that for some people, the decision has just been to sit out the market because in some markets, rents are coming down and renting may be the better option at this point. And for others, there's just been a lot more creativity that has had to go into the home buying process, whether that's buying with family members, looking at adjustable rate mortgages, or finding other ways to get into this really tough market.
Wow, I think some people, when they think about inventory and not having a lot of options at the moment, they might think maybe a new home, a newly built home might be the route to go and kind of put off that home buying purchase maybe until a new home is built online 6 months, a year down the road, hoping for better conditions, right? But I was taking a look at home builder sentiment, and that dropped recently after rising earlier this year. If anyone is following along with how home builders are feeling, if they're not as optimistic now as we have an inventory crunch, what does that say to a buyer who might think a new home could be possible for them?
Yeah, I think that's right. We've seen a lot of home buyers who maybe have gone to the lots of new build developments. They might not have expected to be looking at new construction, but that's what's available. And we have seen recently, though, builders who have been having to offer concessions to keep those buyers on their lots, whether it's buying down points on their mortgage or offering amenities into the into the new home. And so I think home builders are very sensitive to the fact that home buyer demand is going to have to retract as we hit these 8% levels because for some buyers, the numbers just simply aren't penciling out anymore.
That 8% is coming. And you know what the worst part about dealing with a home builder is that you think you get in a new house and they cookie cutter that junk and they slide and they cut corners and all of that. And it all looks good on the outside and that junk ain't nothing but a flimsy piece of garbage all the way across the board. But the idea of home buying and home ownership is enticing to you because it's the gamification of people in order to ensure that they stay solidly in the middle class and for you to make the banks rich, right? So Anton, well, what is the solution? What is the solution? What should we do? New home sales are absolutely plummeting. Why? Not because the market isn't robust. You put a home on the market right now, you guaranteed to practically sell it, especially if you're in a hotter market. You guaranteed to be able to sell it. Well, one of the reasons why home ownership is declining as far as the new home sales is that less homes are being put on the market because then people have to move somewhere and they don't want to move because then they have to finance at a higher interest rate than whatever it is that they got going on right now. That's the whole idea behind cheap money. Cheap money is how much money do you have to spend or how much do you have to pay on interest in order to secure this loan versus how much more money would I have to pay for that same thing. The interest rate is what then defines it as cheap money. So a lot of people that didn't finance, they not willing to leave because they got it at such a lower rate that even if the house was really, really expensive, unless they can pay cash for the next one, they're unwilling to move because they can't really afford to. They can't afford the payments that's going to come along with financing a new home. And so you're at a catch-22. You're stuck between a rock and a hard place because the buyers want to buy, and then anything that hit the market, and then on top of it, let me put the cherry on top of it before I really give you a solution. On top of it, the cherry on it is that the safest place that institutional investors are finding themselves to be in is in, ta-da, housing. It's housing. So you're not just competing against regular buyers. You're competing against institutional investors, meaning large companies are buying up swaths of land in order to continue to leverage the market, to continue to inflate prices, and then get you in a home in order to ensure that they still fatten in their pockets. So you're not just competing against regular people. You're competing against entire conglomerates and machines. Well, what is the solution? Somebody said, is it better to pay off your student loans before you buy? I always suggest that people get rid of all of their consumer debt. The first thing that you have to do is you got to be able to manage a budget more effectively. But you guys need to start thinking outside of the box and start looking at alternative solutions. When the market was hot, and I'm not going to give y'all all of the Patreon game, but when the market was hot, right, and the interest rates was really low and everybody was paying, because even when interest rates was low, that wasn't the entirety of the conversation. People were paying $100,000, $150,000 over market price because interest rates were low, and there was such a huge level of competition in order to get into a home during the pandemic. And so people were going without inspections. They got more house than they can buy. They not doing a total calculation. They're not really understanding what comes along with it. The first thing that you have to do when you start to get into real estate or you start to think about a home, right, is first you got to think about your lifestyle. For me, I will never probably live in a home that I own, ever. Because I rent where I live, and then I look at the homes as an asset that has to generate me revenue, right? So I'm always going to put somebody in the home that I own in order to maintain generating that revenue because I have to get rid of the money, and I'm always going to rent where I live. Significantly cheaper for me to rent where I live, especially considering the entirety of the costs that come along with it. I will never, ever pay a mortgage for a house that I want to live in. And then also on top of that, all of the additional residences that I then have at my disposal is literally in my business names. So I'll give you an example. I just went and looked at a property. It's an all glass building, just signed up for the penthouse, right? Y'all actually going to see a video of it today on this channel. So it'll probably drop at around 8 p.m. Eastern. And it cost me about $10,000 a month for it. I actually was talking to y'all about it over the weekend. And it's in my business name. So we're using it literally to entertain. I already have a separate residence that my daughter lives, work, and play, goes to school from, whatever, so on and so forth, that I use, that I live in. This residence is not necessarily for anything other than to entertain clients. When I got people coming in town, when I got to do an interview, if we need to have an event, if we want to use a rooftop, so on and so forth, this event is 100% for business. It is in my business name. We're using it exclusively for business. We're using it for clients. We're using it to bring people in order to do business. We got some clients over in Tampa, over in Florida. We got some clients over in LA. When we have meetups and stuff like that, we're going to leverage it as an opportunity for us to not only save money when it comes to bringing in people for interviews and clientele and all of that other type of stuff, but we're also going to leverage it to entertain and then hopefully secure new business. If you're not reading between the lines, then you just don't get it. I think that people need to start thinking outside of the box. First, get rid of all of your debt. Secondly, you need to make sure that you reduce the amount that you're paying for your houses, because you don't want it to be based off of what your budget is. You want it to be based off of how fast you can start to look at it as an asset. As long as you have to pour money into it, it's an asset, but it's not an asset that I think is generating you revenue, because the amount that you're going to pay after the end of it is going to be egregiously high when you take into all of the costs. If you look at everything from a business perspective, let's put it like this, right? If it costs me X amount of dollars in order to run this business, I take everything into consideration. How much it's going to cost me in employees, how much it's going to cost me in electricity, how much it's going to cost me as far as getting the inventory, servicing, shrink, insurance, rent, pay myself, the whole 9 yards, right? We don't look at that. And again, I keep telling y'all this in the beginning of the live stream and even now, we don't look at what we're doing as a business. We keep looking at it as personal. Everything is business. So when I start to take that into consideration, what I want y'all to start calculating is, what is the true cost of home ownership? The true cost of home ownership is everything all included. When you make a payment, when you have to service that property, when you have to pay PMI, when you have to pay for whatever it is that come along with it, maintenance, fees, homeowners insurance, property taxes, bake all of that in, calculate it up, and then make sure that you start to understand what the true cost of home ownership is. That's how you should start structuring your budget, and not based off of what the payment is. They're going to tell you, well, make sure that your home payment is less than 30%, less than 25%. It's not your payment. It's the true cost of home ownership in general. All right? The fastest way to be able to eliminate the true cost of home ownership is to pay it off quicker. The more money you have to allocate towards A, putting a 20% down payment. B, if you want to get a 15-year instead of a 30, that means you got to get a smaller house. C, make sure that you pay it off quicker. That means that you're actually using the cost of home ownership and reducing that, because you don't have to pay as much in interest throughout the life of the loan. Stop living your life based off of payments. Stop living your life based off of how much it's going to cost you and how much of your budget is it going to take up in order for you to continue to get money. That should not be the conversation. The real conversation is, what is the total cost of this transaction? When you buy a car, right? Don't just base it off of how much is it going to cost me as far as my car payments. Base it off the interest rate. Base it off the maintenance. How much is it going to cost you gas? How much is it going to cost you insurance? So on and so forth. Stop being easily marketed to in order for the banks to make a lot of money off of you. If you need to, go and buy land. Go and buy it in a place that may be less desirable. Fix it up, right? Buy land, start to understand, okay, when I start to do these calculations, and we going through this in the Patreon, it's funny because my first property that I actually built, I built the basement, right? But I saved a significant amount of money in a completely different environment that may be a little bit better. The lot may be smaller, but I'll make more money from it long term, because the cost of me actually taking out, not building a basement and using a slab, because I'm learning as I go, right? I'm actually closing on another property this week, so I'm going to break that down in the Patreon for y'all also. I'm using a slab instead of actually building a basement, right? That area doesn't actually cost for me to do that. This is too much sauce. I can't do this. I can't keep giving this to y'all. It allows for me to be able to even vet effectively the type of tenants that I'm going to bring inside of the property, because I'm able to reduce the cost and pass that over into the consumer. When you think about home ownership, don't look at it as home ownership. Look at it as shelter, okay? Shelter is what you need to have a roof over your head in order for you to be safe. And then also your monies may be better allocated to something that'll generate you more revenue instead of just plowing it all into a home based off of the idea of home ownership. Listen. Your goal is to get rich. Your goal is to increase your wealth. Your goal is to increase your net worth. For you, depending on what your lifestyle and each individual's journey is different, that may not necessarily be attached to home ownership in a specific market that you grew up in. You may need to move to a different market. You may not even be living in the United States of America for the rest of your life. Your costs may be significantly reduced depending on what your lifestyle is. I know guys that joined the military that don't even have a home. I know people that are RNs or people that are traveling nurses that don't even have a home. They just have a place to where they can store their stuff, and they spend all of their money or they take all of their resources and they invest it in things that then make them more money long term because they don't need, it's a stipend that comes along with their lifestyle. You have to evaluate your individual goals based off of what you're trying to do and not based off of what anybody else is trying to tell you, because they're going to throw you off of your course and your purpose, and they're going to distract you from the thing that's actually going to help you make more money long term. Your goal is to increase your net worth, not necessarily look at a home, because that is a way in which the banks market to you to continue to get 30-year mortgages so that you can pay interest on it in order to gamify you staying in the middle class. Your goal is to increase your net worth. That's according to your lifestyle. Your budget need to be accordingly, and you need to get rid of the debt. And then you can start to think clearer about what it is that you're trying to do and what your long-term goal is that comes along with that. Then you'll start to think outside of the box. Then we can mine it out on an individual basis, right? Do you really even need a big home? Why do older people then downsize and then they fix their homes up in order to be able to sell it, and they never truly enjoyed it the way that somebody else is going to when they sell it to them? I'm never home. Why would I need a 6,000, 7,000, 8,000 square foot crib and I'm not there? I may be building a life for when my daughter graduates to where I live 100% of my time on the road. I may just need something small here as a main residence, and then the rest of it is going to be write-offs because I may be traveling and vlogging and being a travel vlogger as a result of it, and then that ties back into my business. If you go over to Chicago, or let's just say, for example, basketball players tend to choose areas where they have lower state taxes or they don't have any state taxes, which then incentivizes them to actually play in that particular market. So they may move over to Texas, or they go to Houston or San Antonio because it's more conducive for them to keep money. Their determining factor for whether or not they're going to go to a specific franchise has nothing to do with a ring. It has everything to do with whether or not they got state taxes that's going to then pour money into their pocket long term. Maybe your job, a part of your compensation package, depending on what it is that you're doing. You can negotiate housing. They have corporate housing. They have company housing that they will allow for you to stay in for an extended period of time, to where you don't have to then pay the property taxes or then fork over a bunch of money. And if you're not living in that property for at least 10 to 15 years, the true cost of that is actually going to be worse for you as far as home ownership, because you may not necessarily appreciate. And then on top of that, you got to pay the fees that come along with selling the property from a real estate perspective. Every situation is different. Everything is different, but you have to reverse engineer it based off of where you're trying to go, not necessarily where you're at. Ask yourself so many questions versus just jumping into home ownership saying that I got to do it because I got to live here. You may be able to write some stuff off if you finesse it a little bit differently and you actually need to use something from a business perspective versus using it as your main residence. Ask yourself the question before you just jump into home ownership from a marketing perspective, because you may be losing money if you don't understand how money works. Everybody just keep throwing out that name, real estate, and people getting killed. People are absolutely getting destroyed out here. They're getting raked over the coals. raked over the coals all day long. Real estate can be a vehicle for wealth, but it may not necessarily be for everybody. If you don't understand it, you're going to find yourself stuck between a rock and a hard place. Let me read some of these super chats and then I'm going to move on to the next thing. Let's see what we got here. Bush Bomb 21B says, Mr. Anton, I bought a house with $104,000 in equity. Should I leave it or reinvest it? Reinvest it into what? Reinvest it into what? What you going to reinvest it in? Why would you pull the equity out of that home? Unless you leverage it in order to get further into real estate and buying another home that you then going to rent out to somebody else. Remember, when you refinance it, when you take the equity out of the home, you need to redeploy it to something that's going to actually make you more money. Otherwise, we're looking at equity as something completely different because we truly don't understand in order how to leverage it. How do you leverage it is the question that you should be asking yourself. Because remember, the equity in the home is actually a part of your net worth. That's the thing that you then use to substantiate how much you're worth. Equity, for those of y'all that's just getting here for the first time, is completely different for most people, right? It's not just based off of how much the home is worth. A lot of people can't get caught up in that. Equity is the difference between how much the home is worth and what you owe on it. If you're looking to pull the equity out and not do anything with it, then that's one thing. But if you have something surefire that you can use it for in order to make you a bigger bag, then yes, you can pull it out, but you have to weigh the pros and the cons and the interest rates that come along with it. Shout out to you. I appreciate you for that super chat. Let me continue. Vernon Brown says, 2 years ago, everyone was buying them crab boils to Biden. Instead of putting that money up for a rainy day, then they getting evicted. They was already going to get evicted. They spent that money the minute that they got it. It was already gone. J Hub says, they in the bind and they trying to get you to pay for a consultation. You ain't got to worry about me. I don't get no money to no hoes. Jamal Park says, is it better to pay off student loans before buying a home? I would completely remove the debt and then you can realign your budget accordingly. It's never going to be a shortage of homes, ever. It's never going to be a shortage of homes. How much more money are you going to have as wiggle room in your budget to actually leverage towards home ownership or real estate when you don't have to pay off the student loans? Student loans, you got to get rid of that, bro. Get rid of all consumer debt whatsoever. Do not have credit cards, don't have student loans, don't have none of that junk. Get rid of it. Vern Brown says, so should we be buying up Flint, Michigan homes at a low cost? Not necessarily. First rule of real estate is location, location, location. We're going to deep dive into it in the Patreon. Shout out to Vern Brown. But again, it's all based off of what your lifestyle is. Don't just buy stuff in order to try to come up. Buy it based off of how it makes sense from a financial perspective into your life. Let's go into this automotive industry, all right? The UAW updates, and I want to deep dive into the electrification of autos and how Elon Musk is winning and leveraging the UAW strike against them, even though he's telling them that he's doing it right to their face. Make sure y'all hit a like for the algorithm, subscribe to the channel, and turn on your notifications. Let's rock out.
Good afternoon, UAW family. It's happened again. Moments before this broadcast, we have had a major breakthrough that has not only dramatically changed negotiations, but it's going to change the future of our union and the future of our industry.
This happened on Friday, so every Friday, Sean Fain, president of UAW, comes through and he gives an update on what the negotiations are and whether or not they're going to strike and hit another plant.
We were about to shut down GM's largest moneymaker in Arlington, Texas.
This dude sounds, honestly, he sounds just like a terrorist. We were about to shut down GM's largest moneymaker in Arlington, Texas. That does not sound like a partner, honestly. That does not sound like a partner. That sounds like somebody that's absolutely positively a terrorist, in my opinion. That does not sound like somebody that wants the best for the company and themselves. In order to be a partner with somebody, you got to want best for them just as much as you want best for yourself. You can't just talk negatively like that. But let it play out for a little bit and let y'all see what's happening.
The company knew those members were ready to walk immediately. And just that threat has provided a transformative win. GM has now agreed in writing to place their electric battery manufacturing under our National Master Agreement. We've been told for months that this is impossible. We've been told the EV future must be a race to the bottom. And now we've called their bluff. What this will mean for our membership cannot be understated. The plan was to draw down engine and transmission plants and permanently replace them with low-wage battery jobs. We had a different plan, and our plan is winning at GM.
See, this is so bad because that's not true. Specifically what Mary Barra did and what they've been trying to do as far as making sure that they kept manufacturing here in the United States of America, not just because GM was a good company, but also because they were being incentivized by the Biden administration in order to continue to build here in America, especially since you got the semiconductor chip industry starting to come here and bloom down in Texas. But what they've done was they started having in-house manufacturing, especially instead of outsourcing everything. And so now that they know that internal combustion engines are going away, they've been trying to bring in more work by doing research and development and doing in-house development, which costs them a lot of money and billions of dollars in order to invest in. And then now they're going to invest those into these plants specifically. But this is I can't believe that y'all getting finessed and y'all getting told this as a rallying cry. General Motors had already from the outset, and I actually played it a couple weeks ago, where Mary Barra said literally that they've brought manufacturing, specifically they're looking to manufacture electric batteries and vehicles and platforms here in the United States of America in order to transition a lot of these plants and a lot of these people and the UAW members over into these facilities so that even though it's going to cost them significantly more in the front loading in order to make sure that they do the research and development and all of this other type of stuff, that people wouldn't just automatically get laid off or have natural attrition because they're no longer needed as far as the amount of parts that's being able to or that's needed to be made with regard to regular internal combustion engines. She already said this a long time ago. It's going to be a race to the bottom. That doesn't even make sense, man.
And we expect it to win at Ford and Stellantis as well. So today, we're going to give you some updates on the state of bargaining. If it wasn't clear already, things move fast. It's hard to give an update that won't be obsolete by the time the update's done. So here's a snapshot and a punchline. Here's the snapshot. GM has been falling behind.
Can y'all not tell that this dude is reading off of a teleprompter and reading based off of notes that's already been given to him? He's reading. This is not just an authentic conversation. He's actually reading this to you guys.
Today, under the threat of a major financial hit, they leapfrog the pack in terms of a just transition. And here's the punchline. Our strike is working, but we're not there yet.
Are y'all really going for this, honestly? Are y'all seriously going for this? Are y'all really taking these marketing tactics and cues with the shirt that say to eat the rich and y'all taking this at face value? Please tell me y'all not this naive. It doesn't mean that he may not be working in y'all best interest or not or whatever, but please tell me y'all not this naive. Our strike is working. He sounds just like Biden. He sounds just like the politicians on the trail. Honestly, he sounds just like the politicians. Speak to me from your heart. Tell me what's going on. Talk to me like we in a town hall. Don't read to me from a teleprompter. Just tell me what's going on. Don't give me any prepared marks. Just write it down in a quick outline, whatever it is that y'all got going on, and then let's run it up, right? Come on, man.
Everything we've done to this point has been with one goal in mind: to win a record contract that reflects the Big Three's record profits and the historic sacrifices our members have made to generate those profits. We've been very public about our demands and about our expectations.
All right, I'm going to move on from this. Let me tell y'all another thing. Do you want to know what I believe that the strategy is as to why it is that they're doing these rolling strikes? You want to know why they didn't strike just all across the board? It's because the UAW is trying to protect. They're trying to protect the piggy bank. What is the piggy bank? The piggy bank is the amount of money that they have put up in reserve that they need as an investment, but instead they're starting to dole it out in strike pay. So if every last one of these employees, they struck across the board and then they said, okay, but we got to pay $500 a week to every single employee, it would absolutely positively cripple the UAW. See, they sell this to you guys. They sell this to you guys as though, oh man, we're going to roll it out strategically. You don't think that GM and Ford know what the heck is going on? You don't think that they paying attention, that they're not aware, that they're not situationally aware, that they wasn't prepared for this a long time ago? You don't think that they're doing these rolling strikes so that they can make sure that they minimize the amount of money that they have to pay out as far as strike pay? They're not doing it because they're just ratcheting up the pressure on them. They're doing it because they have to protect what it is that they got stored up as far as union dues that you guys been paying every single pay period for the entirety of the time that you're working for these companies. You know that your benefits and some of your healthcare coverage, especially for retirees, is all based off of UAW, right? It's based off of a piggy bank that they got. Let me move on from this. So let's talk about Elon Musk. Let's talk about why Elon Musk is going to continue to win, why I continue to increase my position in Tesla, why I believe that you guys should be more strategic in what it is that you're increasing your. I'm not telling you what to invest in. I'm just telling you what it is that I invest in. Let me tell you why I've increased my position in Tesla, and I've literally divested myself way before the strike ever happened from any of the big three automakers. Make sure y'all hit a like for the algorithm. Tune in. Make sure you hit that Patreon link. Link is in the description as well as pinned to the top of the chat.
The United Auto Workers Union, the nation's largest auto union, voted to authorize a strike.
The union expanding the walkout across the country.
We're talking nationwide, California to Pennsylvania.
More than 25,000 union workers are striking the plants of the big three Detroit auto manufacturers. And the intensity and nature of the strikes are unlike any other in recent American automotive history. The United Auto Workers have made a list of demands even UAW President Shawn Fain calls audacious. Industry analysts estimate.
Now let's put that in perspective, right? I just did a little bit of math for y'all. So 25,000 workers. If 25,000 now imagine over 100,000 workers. But let's say 25,000 workers are striking at the equivalent of $500 per week in strike pay. That's $12,500,000 a week. That's how much it costs the union. 25,000 workers. 25,000 workers at $500 a week on strike is $12,500,000 a week that it would cost the union. If you want to know what 100,000 workers is, just times it times 4. $50 million a week. It would cost the union $50 million a week in strike pay if all of the workers or 100,000 workers were on strike at the same time. Is the math now for y'all? Is the math for now for y'all? Now do you understand why it's important for us to break everything back down to the numbers? Because it's not just fighting for a fair wage or whatever. You need to understand all of the context and all of the strategy that come along with why they're doing it. It would cost them $50 million a week for 100,000 people to strike, and they got even more people than that in the UAW. Now, they've guaranteed y'all strike pay. How do you think that plays out with you? Let me go ahead and continue this.
Meeting the union's demands would bring all-in hourly labor costs to $150 per worker, more than double what they are today.
What Shawn Fain has done here is thrown out the playbook.
The UAW claims the workers who have helped the Detroit Three bring in $250 billion in profits over the last decade should have a share of it.
It hurts everybody. It hurts our employees. It hurts the communities where these plants are.
There's no way we can be sustainable as a company. You want us to choose bankruptcy?
Some industry analysts claim that while this all keeps happening, the big winners are the non-union automakers, like Tesla. Even CEO Elon Musk seems to think the demands could bankrupt the Detroit.
I think that when you look at it as an investor and you look at these companies, because I look at it from a completely different lens, profits are going to drop significantly. I don't think that they'll be able to continue to innovate and drive money into research and development. I think that Elon Musk already has a huge lead, and he's going to get a bigger lead. The F-Series is, for 46 years straight, has been the number one selling vehicle in America. The Tesla Model Y, for multiple different quarters in a row, has now become the number one selling vehicle in the world. And now I think that Elon Musk is just going to continue to out-innovate these people. And then you got competition from the Chinese automakers that we're not taking into consideration. And then last but not least, you still have European and Japanese automakers. And then the Koreans is doing what they're doing over there. If I've decided to divest myself from the traditional automakers altogether, as much as I hate to say that, because I love to be an investor in my own hometown industry. And I've reaffirmed and continued to reposition myself to go even further into Tesla because of what it is that I see happening today. Look at this from an investor's perspective and not from a worker's perspective.
3.
The UAW would probably say it's a race to the bottom, but it is a race to make electric vehicles profitable, and Tesla is doing that, whereas the likes of Ford are not.
The 3 Detroit automakers, General Motors...
We all know why they're striking. Let's move over into something else.
Off guard. The timing is not great. Companies are trying to shift to EVs while fending off competition from both foreign and homegrown companies.
The UAW, over the past 4 years, has watched the automakers make record profits. They also don't live in a bubble. They've seen many of their union brethren, sisters, get record contracts. That includes double-digit increases at John Deere, not to mention FedEx, which isn't the UAW, but they've been watching other unions just get paid and paid and paid, and now they believe it's their turn.
So they're part of the Me Too movement. I get it. Let's continue.
Nothing. According to the automakers, agreeing with the terms would threaten their very existence. While many foreign companies like Toyota, Nissan, BMW, Mercedes-Benz, and Volkswagen use organized labor in their home countries, they don't in their US factories. Neither do many of the up-and-coming electric car makers like Rivian and Lucid, following Tesla's lead.
And we ain't even talking about Rivian, but let's continue.
As of right now, it appears Tesla will be a winner in all of this. And we're not necessarily talking about EV market share. Tesla already dominates that. What we're really talking about is actual labor costs. And Tesla's labor costs, we're talking all in, bonuses, wages, healthcare, everything, is estimated to be about $45 to $50.
So Tesla, right now, the big three is about a little bit more than $75 an hour when it comes to the total compensation cost that comes along with manufacturing vehicles. Tesla, all in, is at about $45 an hour, but they're out innovating these guys, and they're a technology company. $45 an hour versus $150 an hour, and Tesla's margins per vehicle is significantly more, and they're continuing to innovate and reinvent how it is that they're then deploying all of these resources in order to streamline the manufacturing process and replace people with robots. And then on top of that, I don't know if you guys follow Tesla News. I look at Tesla News every single day. Even the frames and the bodies that they're building is with less parts. Even the way that they compensate their employees is more innovative. Their employees is compensated the same way that white collar workers are compensated. They get equity in the company in the form of bonuses, which also incentivizes them to have a interest in the success of the company. It has an interest in the success of the company. So when you start to take all of these things into consideration, right? What I'm telling you is that Tesla wants them to strike. They want them to continue to strike. They're destroying their competition. They're literally killing themselves out of a job.
Estimates of all-in per employee per hour costs are far lower at Tesla than at any of the big three automakers. This is partly because Tesla is non-union. Its costs are also lower than those of foreign counterparts also running non-union factories.
any kind of increase in the hourly wage, the benefits, is really going to kind of increase the gap between GM, Ford, Stellantis, between Tesla and the foreign automakers such as Toyota, Nissan, and others that have kind of been coming here and building EVs now.
From day one.
Somebody said Tesla needs to pay them better. Says who? Their employees ain't complaining. They rejected unionization from the UAW. If they felt like they was losing, then why they reject the UAW? Why did they reject the unionization efforts over at the majority of Tesla factories?
When they start talking about spending more, Elon wins because Tesla is cheaper to make cars over there for those electric vehicles.
And I mean, when you talk about kind of a disadvantage for electric vehicles, it's not just Tesla, it's not just the transplants, it's actually the newcomers such as Rivian, Lucid, and the automakers know this. They don't have the legacy costs that the D3 have.
Already, Tesla controls about 60% of the electric vehicle market and has slashed prices considerably throughout 2020.
And they control 60% of the emerging vehicle market, meaning not the legacy market that's going away, not the market that's continuing to reduce itself, but the market that everybody is eventually adopting. They control over 60% of the vehicle market. They're actually the ones that's the only company that's competing with EV makers over in China, which is booming over there. Booming. But then I will also tell you that Tesla has a vested interest in seeing the union fail over here. Let me tell you why else. Here's the biggest reason. Forget all of this. Let me just give you the game. One of the reasons why Tesla also wants the union to absolutely positively destroy the big three, not enough to where it drives them out of business, but enough to where it severely wounds them, is so that they can then show their members when unionization efforts continue to show themselves over at their plants, and they can say, look, they unionized themselves right on out of a job. You have opportunity here. Over there at the Texas factory that they building down in Austin, they say that they have over 60,000 jobs that they're trying to ramp up to. 60,000 jobs. They're adding jobs. Meanwhile, Chrysler, GM, and Ford is just trying to keep jobs. I couldn't stand the union when I was down there. And maybe it's just because inherently I just looked at everything from a business perspective. But I absolutely positively couldn't stand the union. The unfortunate part is that the big three still has additional legacy costs that come along with, which GM should has less of because they filed for bankruptcy, GM and Chrysler. But they have legacy costs that come along with doing business here in the United States of America and having a union on their back for the extended amount of time. And these people feel as though they're owed something instead of you get what it is that you put into it. They were happy when the big three reinstated profit sharing checks because that then meant that y'all had a vested interest in seeing these companies successful. But eventually that'll go away too. My point is this. When you're looking at it from an investor's perspective, you're going to have a completely different set of criteria than you looking at it from a worker's perspective. I need all of y'all to step outside of your comfort zone and start to look at it from an investor's perspective instead of looking at it just from a worker's perspective. If I'm an investor, me personally, and I'm not telling you what to do, I'm leveraging what it is that I'm doing in order to put more of my equity into Tesla, a growing technology company, than a legacy company like GM, Ford, and Chrysler, who is going to continue to get bent over. In the next bargaining contract, they're going to continue to bend over to these companies until they try to extract everything out of them, because the only way that they look at themselves is how they compare themselves to their total compensation over into the CEOs instead of how the CEOs make their money. Let me read some of the super chats and then I'm going to get y'all up out of here for the day. What up, Khalil says, Fane sounds like a bootleg WWE wrestler, shaking my head. Hey, the people in the UAW apparently love him, though. Shout out to Fane. Sean Fane. Blockbuster After HRs says, keep doing your thing, fam. I appreciate you, bro. And then let me give my dog the drum roll. Hold on a second. Shout out to my big dog in the building, the GOAT. I think that this is one of the most awesome dudes that's on the internet today. I don't think that my dog Steph is Cold got a bigger fan than Anton from AntonDaniels.com. Shout out to the young bulls. Shout out to the GOATs. Shout out to the people that's absolutely positively going to take over the internet. He doing some of the greatest things. I seen the apartment tour. You know what I'm saying? I see the growth. I see the greatness. I see the bags. I see the car. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to my dog Steph is Cold. Still getting in them watery guts. You know what I'm saying? We love Steph. We love our brothers. We love the young bulls. We love the dudes that's doing it great. Shout out to Steph. I love you, bro. Real talk. If ain't nobody actually told you straight up, face to face, I love you, bro. I love what you got going on. I love what you do, man. You are absolutely one of the greatest ones. And we got love for you over here at the Millionaire Morning Show. Listen, y'all. Don't be distracted. Don't be misinformed. Don't think that for 1 second that it does not come back down to the money. It always comes back down to the money. Every single thing that you do comes back down to the money, ladies and gentlemen. Real talk. I know you think it's sweet out here. I know you think that the world is looking out for you. I know you think that they're going to forgive your student loans. Stop depending on anybody. Stop depending on the federal government. Stop depending on your mama. Stop depending on your baby mama. Stop depending on the industry to save you. Ain't nobody coming to save you. And even if they did give you a leg up, you can't depend on anybody in order to save you. It's rough out here in these streets. It's about to get cold outside. Let's run this bag up. Make sure y'all subscribe to the channel. Shout out to all of my people on Facebook. I love y'all. I appreciate y'all that way. Shout out to my people on YouTube. Y'all absolutely hold me down. For all of the super chatters, all of the new Patreon members, salute to y'all. Also, on top of that, make sure you get that Teige Hanley 30% off your first order plus a free gift. And then last but not least, we're going to be live streaming this Thursday, Patreon exclusive. I'm going to give y'all an update to the meetup that we doing in D.C. Shout out to my D.C. people. And then the Q show tonight. We're going to be kicking it. We're going to be running it up. We got some good subjects for y'all. And you know I'm going to be there continuing to have my conversations. You never know what's going to happen. You never know what I'm going to say. Make sure you tap into the Patreon. I love you guys. I appreciate y'all. I need y'all to do me one more favor before we get up out of here. Heck of a way to start off a Monday, right? Yeah, we doing what we do over here. Make sure you share this with your family and friends. We don't want to be rich by ourselves. I love you guys. I appreciate you. Let's run it up. Let's get this bag, y'all. I'm going to holler at y'all later. Peace.